Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios.
That's right.
And off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. AFR, presented by Relief Windows. I'm Matt.
Love you, Matt.
Paul O'Neill.
They're chanting Paul O'Neill's name.
You so. And Mr. Toby, time play. All right, we're here. Glad you are as well. Get out there, make it a good one. Finally, it is upon us. LSU-Bama week, y'all. Get psyched for it. We'll have a ton all week leading you up to the biggest game of LSU season, a game that could and very well should determine the SEC West. Brian Kelly kicked off LSU-Bama week today by saying it as frankly as you possibly can.
All the basic tenets of a game like this is that's why you come to LSU. It's not pressure, it's a privilege to play in games like this. Certainly why I came to LSU.
Not pressure, it's a privilege to play in games like this. Brian Kelly earlier today when he met with reporters. We are going to talk plenty about LSU-Bama, and a lot of what Brian Kelly had to say today we'll get to. Cole Cubelic next hour, Maddy Hudak in hour number 3. We're going to go over to the Plains in about 15 minutes. Zach Blackerby, Locked on Auburn, is going to join us. If you haven't heard, Auburn has fired Brian Harsin, and they have hired John Cohen as their AD. So big moves on the Plains. We'll go there in less than 15 minutes from right now. So glad to have you aboard with us. Let me start, though, with the Saints' dominating win over the Las Vegas Raiders. For weeks now, y'all, for weeks and weeks and weeks, we've been having this conversation about the Saints offense. And I get it. I get why we've been having the conversation. We spent so much of the offseason wondering if Jameis is going to be the future, right? And then Jameis gets hurt, and then Dalton comes in, and then it's like, do you go back to Jameis? I get why we've had the conversation, the quarterback conversation. And we talked so much about the injuries, right? No Michael Thomas, no Jarvis Landry. Deontay Hardy's on IR now. You wonder if you're going to get him back at any point this year. You know, Kamara had the rib injury, missed a couple of games. Taysom Hill missed a game earlier this year. We've talked a lot about that. And when the injury conversation has come up around this team and the injury list has been lengthy, it's predominantly been offensive guys. And so a lot of people have naturally thrown their hands in the air and said, well, look at all these injuries. But the point is, the offense hasn't been the problem for New Orleans. And you finally got to see that crystallize yesterday because the defense was good. Not just good, they were great. And look at the difference that it made. Y'all, the New Orleans Saints currently are 7th in the NFL in scoring offense. Offense has not been the problem at any point. Look, yes, when Jameis Winston was playing with a broken back week 2 against Tampa, it was bad, okay? Since then, the offense has not been the issue. The problem is, a year ago, with an anemic offense, with 4 different quarterbacks throughout the year, you won 9 games because your defense was 4th in the league in scoring. Your defense was freaking awesome. That has been the cornerstone of the last half decade when Dennis Allen became the DC. The defense has just continued to ascend to be elite, truly elite. And this year they have stunk. Going into Sunday, the New Orleans Saints were 31st out of 32 teams in scoring defense. The defense was atrocious. You didn't lose to Cincinnati because of your offense. You scored 26 points in that game. You lost because nobody could tackle Jamar Chase. You didn't lose in Minnesota because of your offense, or London against Minnesota because of your offense. You lost because after you took the lead, you allowed Justin Jefferson to be a freak show. And then you tied it, and then you allowed the deep ball and they kicked the game winner to walk you off. You scored 34 points in Arizona and lost. There were 2 pick sixes. Fine. Your defense gave up 28 to an offense that had been anemic, that had lost 8 straight home games, had scored 9 points the week before against a terrible Seattle defense. Speaking of Seattle, you won that game, we forget it, but you allowed them to score 32 in your building. Your defense has been atrocious. All the conversation about Mike Thomas and Jarvis Landry and Jameis and injuries on offense, it hasn't mattered. The point is, your defense has been garbage until yesterday. And maybe a big part of it was Alvin Kamara finally flexing his muscles and saying, hey, this ain't what we do. And enough guys actually fell in line for a day. I mean, y'all, that defense, do you realize in this day and age in the NFL, in today's NFL, to prevent another offense from running a play on your side of the 50 until inside of 2 minutes to go in the game? That's unheard of. Everybody made all the LSU-Bama jokes. I get it from the 2011 National Championship. And you're right to. This is the National Football League, where if you're a defensive back, you breathe on a receiver, here comes the flag. Teams intentionally throw one-on-one jump balls, 50-50 balls, just to draw a flag. One busted play after a kickoff, like you're in your opponent's territory. The Las Vegas Raiders with Derek Carr, Devontae Adams, Josh Jacobs, who had back-to-back 100-yard games, they did not run a play in Saints territory until they were inside of 2 minutes to go in the game. They benched Carr for Stidham. Hey, bro, just go sit down. Like it ain't your day. Just go. So we'll let the kid from Auburn just go run this thing out real quick. It was incredible to watch. Josh Jacobs, 10 carries, 43 yards. Devontae Adams had an oh, by the way, excuse me, 1 catch for 3 yards. You realize in the first half, they had a 3rd and 1. They run an end around with Devontae Adams, and Marcus Davenport caught him in the air like he was a child and body slammed him. It was like a WWE move. When the really little guy tries to do the fly through the air thing and knock down the big guy, and the big guy catches him in the air and body slams him, that's what that was like. But that was Devontae Adams. Oh, and the next play, they faked a punt, and you stuffed him. It was incredible. Everything the Saints did defensively worked. And most importantly, like, huge hat tip to Alontae Taylor. No Marshawn Lattimore, no Bradley Roby. Alontae Taylor had to take on a huge role, and he locked down Devontae Adams. It was awesome to see, completely unafraid. See the play on the sideline where he literally, he broke up a pad, he stood over Devontae Adams. It's like, that's a rookie just standing over one of the best receivers in the world. It was incredible to watch. But most importantly, was your defensive line. Yo, this is the core of what we've talked about for several weeks now. The personnel turnover on the defensive front has led to what you've had. You've got an aging Cam Jordan, an aging David Onyemata. You've got an underperforming Marcus Davenport who hasn't really been on the field much. You let Sheldon Rankins go. You let Trey Hendrickson go. Malcolm Brown's gone. Like, you just don't have the same personnel. But for a day, the guys that were out there validated the organization's trust in them. Y'all, 4 sacks, 7 TFLs, 8 pass defenses, 9 quarterback hits. Yo, the sacks, it ain't like this was corner blitzes. Peyton Turner had 2. Kentavious Street and Cam Jordan shared 1. David Onyemata had a sack. It was all from your defensive line. Your defensive line whipped the Raiders' behinds up front. Sometimes I got to remind myself I ain't talking about scone and tea right now. This ain't whiskey and wine. I gotta check myself. It was overwhelming, the defensive performance. Hat tip to him. Now the key is making sure that's not a one-off. Because we all watched this team in 2012 when they went 7-9. We watched this team go back-to-back 7-9 seasons from 2014, 15, 16, and that was the problem. You'd have that great game, But you'd win one, lose two. And then maybe you'd string a couple together, and then you'd lose three straight. The key, and that's how you end up at or below 500, is you can't string together consistently good performances. Go back to 2016. You started 0-3. Then you won back-to-back games. And you were a game away from getting to 500, and then you lost to Kansas City. And so you're 2-4. Then you win 2 in a row. You get to 4-4. You're feeling good. Then you lose 2 in a row, and you're right back 2 games under 500. That's the key. You played this awesome game against the Raiders. Now you got to go do it again. And I'm going to tell you, when we talked about this season in the schedule before the season, we said, man, look, you got to make your hay early because, man, the meat grinder's in the middle, and then the final couple weeks you have a couple of winnable games again, but you got to get ahead early, and Saints didn't do that clearly. But when you look at the schedule now, when you look at this schedule now, the next 5 look a lot more manageable than they did 2 months ago if the Saints who played against the Raiders show up. Can the Saints beat Baltimore at home? If they play like they did yesterday, they can. Can the Saints win at Pittsburgh? Wouldn't have said it in August. Going to say it now, they could. Home against the Rams? Rams have been a little bit of a mess, y'all. That's winnable. I don't think you can win at San Francisco the way they're playing right now. But then you got to go to Tampa. And who knows who they'll have left standing by that point. My point is, over these next 5, it's plausible if you play like that you can go 4-1. And if you do, now you're in the driver's seat in this division. But in these next 5, you got to come through that with a winning record. What you can't do is now go lose at home on Monday night and then go lose it at the Steelers. Because that's what bad, inconsistent teams do, and that's what this team has been so far. And they got to make sure that yesterday wasn't the one-off, and they're able to stack good performances now and carry it forward. Look, 5 games until your bye. If you're able to go 2 games above 500, you'll go into your bye at 500 with 4 games to go and a chance maybe to win the division. That's your hope. But you got to stack good games. Yesterday was awesome to watch, and it feels good to wake up on a Monday when your team has a performance like that. But now you got to stack them. See if they can do it Monday Night Football a week from tonight against the Ravens. All right, it's After Further Review. Glad you're with us. Let me knock out a quick break. We're headed to the Plains. Brian Harsin fired at Auburn. Zach Blackerby locked on Auburn joins us next. It's AFR.
AFR.
Final day here of the month of October. It is Halloween. Happy Halloween, everyone. But it's a final opportunity this month to remind you that October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And all throughout the month of October, we, along with our friends at the Baton Rouge General, have been reminding the ladies to protect your pumpkins and get that mammogram. brgeneral.org, brgeneral.org. Go to the website. Still up there on the homepage for one more day. Get all the info about breast cancer awareness. You can get statistics about early detection and how that leads to greater resources and outcomes. 85% of women diagnosed with breast cancer have no family history. And 1 in 8 women will develop invasive breast cancer in her lifetime. It's not meant to be a scare tactic. It's meant to be educational. So ladies, protect your pumpkins. Get that mammogram. brgeneral.org. It's the Baton Rouge General Hospital online. brgeneral.org.
There it is, the extra mile. On the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further. Like vans customized for work or play. With safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
I am Juliette, daughter of Marguerite, granddaughter of Gabriel Piera. I come from a line of strong women. Women who knew struggle and success too. Still, I was scared by my breast cancer diagnosis. But I had Blue Cross coverage, which meant I got care from top doctors. I'm strong like my mother, and her mother before her. The right card, the right care.
I'm Jay Ducote. I grew up learning how to cook at LSU tailgate parties and right in my own backyard. and I created JD's Louisiana products to bring that Louisiana flavor to you at home for your backyard cookout. JD's Louisiana barbecue sauce, Louisiana molasses mustard, spicy and sweet barbecue rub, and more are available at your local supermarkets or by logging on to jdacody.com/shop. Put in promo code CST for 25% off at checkout.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
This summer, meet Acura's heroes of performance. Only available at the Acura Summer of Performance.
This summer, visit your local Acura dealer for attractive offers on the NBA.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding. Call 288-8138 or visit reliefwindows.com. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria.
It is official today. Auburn has fired Brian Harsin. They will pay him a $15 million buyout, and the search for a new head coach begins immediately. Our buddy Zach Blackerby, locked on Auburn, good enough to jump aboard on what I know is just an impossibly busy day. Hey, man, thank you, as always, for the time. I appreciate it. How are you?
I'm great. Don't forget, Auburn hired a new AD today as well. It's been a crazy one.
That has to go hand in hand, right, Zach? Because I would assume the reason they had not moved on from Harsin yet was because no coaching candidate would talk about the Auburn job until they knew who their boss was going to be. So am I right in assuming these had to go hand in hand?
Yeah, I still thought there would just be this open conversation, right, when John Cohen would now just reach out to folks and say, hey, yeah, we're moving on from a match to the Iron Bowl. I was still kind of in that camp, but clearly they've moved on a Monday, which is a little odd. You kind of got to wonder if they were trying to get everything solidified with Cohen yesterday so they could kind of fire him on that traditional Sunday. But yeah, he's gone. And look, I think this is a brilliant PR move by President Roberts. This is a new university president, and a lot of people are starting to kind of criticize him a little bit with how he's handled this AD search. It took a lot longer than a lot of people thought it should, and all of a sudden you hire a guy and you get rid of the head coach that everybody wanted gone. All of a sudden he's a hero.
Zach, it's kind of a chicken or the egg question, but did one have to come before the other?
I think so. I mean, I think you had to get the AD first, right?
Okay.
Because my big question was always who's going to fire him? Who's going to fire him? And still, that may not have been a legitimate question because we don't really know who fired Harsin yet. I think we're going to get more information over the next few hours or so, Matt. But it kind of felt like you had to do this. And I think that was kind of the feeling ever since the bye week a few weeks ago, right? Was, okay, it's either you're going to do it through the bye week or you're going to do it at the end of the season. We were wrong. It's the Monday after the Arkansas game.
All right, we're going to talk about why it went wrong with Harsin and what's next in a moment. But because you said obviously the Cohen news had to come first, let's get a reaction then from Auburn there at the hiring of John Cohen, again, moving from within the SEC West from Mississippi State now to Auburn.
Yeah, I think it makes sense. This is a guy that has kind of been labeled similar to Alan Green, right? The former athletics director was, folks close to Mississippi State told me he's similar in regards to sometimes cares more about the budget than he does winning. But I don't know how much that really carries over, Matt, because you look at it and what he controlled and what he managed at Mississippi State versus what he manages now at Auburn is drastically different, right? Just looking at the revenue for football last year, Mississippi State $39.9 million, Auburn $97.6 million, so more than double there. So we'll see if that's true, because also the folks that said that in the next breath, they would say how much he likes facilities upgrades, right? And those two things don't really go hand in hand, and so I think that's kind of what you're looking at there. I think this is a guy that clearly wants to make a splash higher. 247 Sports reported earlier today, Brandon Marcello said that he has been told that the first target will be Lane Kiffin of Ole Miss. And so if he's able to pull that off, boy, talk about winning over a fan base. That'd be crazy.
So is it, well, let me just go there then. Am I to assume that collectively the preference among Auburn fans would be Lane Kiffin? He would be the number one choice?
I think so. You'll get some folks that want to say Deion, which I get the argument for both. I think Lane is more realistic than Deion. But I think it's those two, and then that's probably tier one, and then tier two is probably like your Hugh Freeze or your Matt Rule. That's probably like your second tier if you want to put Jeff Grimes, the OC at Baylor, in there as well. But yeah, I think your 1A and 1B right now, as far as if you polled every Auburn fan, the two that would probably get the most votes would be Lane Kiffin and Deion Sanders.
Zach, why is Lane Kiffin more realistic than Deion Sanders?
Because I think the big money would be more likely to shell out the cash for Kiffin versus Deion Sanders. Look, and Deion Sanders is very exciting, but we don't know if he can do it at a higher level. A lot of people think that he'll be able to, and I think he'd be able to, but we just haven't seen him do it. We've seen Lane Kiffin do it. And I also think there's this really fun and interesting dynamic with, obviously, if to be successful at Auburn, you got to beat Alabama, you got to beat Nick Saban. And I think getting a guy that coached under him would be a lot of fun to that, too. I think that's a dynamic. I mean, Auburn probably cares too much about beating Alabama. I think they should care more about developing their own program more than beating Alabama. But, that's a topic for another day. But I think that plays into it.
Zach Blackerby on Twitter at @ZBlackerby, Locked On Auburn. Make sure you follow there, especially right now. I can imagine what your numbers are going to do this week. So why would Lane Kiffin leave Ole Miss for Auburn?
Money, and you can win a championship at Auburn. I don't think you can win a championship in football at Ole Miss. Look, every coach, for the exception of Brian Harsin, since 2000 has either should have played for a national championship or has played for a national championship. And look, if you're able to get good quarterback play at Auburn historically, I mean, we're talking 22 years here.
Sure.
If you have good quarterback play, you've got a chance to win or at least play for a national championship, right? Well, I mean, we've seen it. We've got a little over 2 decades worth of proof of that. And so I think Lane Kiffin can develop that. I think you have the money behind you. If you can prove that you can win, they'll pay you whatever. Look, I mean, Auburn, like somebody did the math, over the last 2 years, somebody has paid $54,000 a day just to kind of get the buyouts paid and to go 9-12 over the last 2 seasons. Like that, I mean, imagine if it was somebody where they had faith in. And I think Lane Kiffin would be worthy of that day one.
Zach, would you mentioned Hugh Freeze, you mentioned Matt Rule, some of the other names that might be out there. Jeff Grimes, an interesting one. I mean, Jeff Grimes was the offensive line coach at LSU. People know him well before he left for BYU and Baylor. Why would or wouldn't those make sense? Maybe take Rule and Freeze in particular.
Okay, yeah, so let's start with Rule. And, if you look at Vegas, I don't know what book you guys are partnered with, but I imagine
DraftKings.
DraftKings.
Yeah.
I imagine if they've got odds for Matt Rule, I imagine Auburn's are pretty high. Most books have him as the second most likely landing spot for him to be Auburn. So I don't know if DraftKings has that or not. So I think that's part of it, right? And then also the timing of this is crucial for Auburn in 2023 because this roster already isn't great, Matt. You and I both know this, but it's about to get decimated, right? I mean, there is a real chance Auburn has 5 scholarship offensive linemen after the Iron Bowl. That is a very real chance of that. We'll see. Some of these guys that are seniors will have the option to use their super senior season if they want to, and that'll help. But you need a guy that can already come in and win December, right? And that happens with the early signing period, and it happens with the transfer portal. And so I think that's why a lot of people are really excited about Lane Kiffin. But if you get a guy that's not coaching right now with Rule, maybe you kind of get a little bit of a runway to allow yourself to do that. So I think that's one of the bigger arguments for Rule. And look, he turned around one of the worst situations in college football history with Baylor.
2 of them.
Now Baylor went to crap after he left. So like, how much do you factor that in? I don't know. The Hugh Freeze situation is interesting because, and I see some of the people on your YouTube page commenting about his extension. I don't think that really does a whole lot for his buyout. So I still think he is definitely a legitimate candidate here. But there's still a dynamic of him getting back into the SEC. I don't think Greg Sankey's too high on that. So what does the new president want to do with that type of dynamic? And I also think there's a bit of I've been told that the new president isn't super high on Hugh Freeze. Is not super high on Hugh Freeze is what I've been told. Okay. So we'll see. I'd be a little surprised. I think Hugh Freeze is a great fit, and I think his resume is really good. But if the relationships aren't there, the relationships aren't there. Yeah. So we'll see what that looks like over the next few weeks.
Zach, last thing, why didn't it work with Brian Harsin?
He didn't want to recruit. And he didn't want to really address the folks that pay his paycheck. And I'm not talking about his former boss, Alan Green. I'm talking about the boosters. And look, that's a part of it, right? The big donors, you need to make sure they're happy. And then also every member of the Auburn beat that covers recruiting, they're all about, they're all just emptying their notebook of all these examples of like all these recruiting functions of things that he just didn't do. And it wasn't that he was bad at it, Matt. I think he actually would have been a really good recruiter because when you sit down and talk to Brian Harsin, he's actually pretty likable. But he put on this persona in his press conferences, and he just didn't show up to a lot of things when it came to recruiting. And you do that over the span of 2 years, and enough is enough.
Yeah. Zach Blackerby, busy day, no doubt, on Twitter at @ZBlackerby. Make sure you're subscribed up to Locked On Auburn. You want the Auburn news and notes as this coaching search moves along. That's the place to get it. Hey, man, I know it's a busy day, but I really appreciate you squeezing in 10 minutes here for us.
Of course, man. Anything for you, brother. You're the GOAT.
I appreciate you, man. Be well. That's Zach Blackerby on Twitter at @ZBlackerby. You want Auburn stuff? Like, that's where you go. Go to Zach. He's the best. Let me remind you about South Point Volkswagen. I want to give you a thought here on Auburn in a second. SouthPointVW.com, new and certified pre-owned in Baton Rouge and online. SouthPointVW.com. You know where to find them. SouthPointVW.com. They're the best. Louisiana's largest volume Volkswagen dealer. If you're in the market for a vehicle or might be in the market for a new vehicle, and put Volkswagen on your list. If you've never considered a Volkswagen, that's where I was about a decade ago. And I went and test drove every single model that they had. Everything from the SUVs down to the Beetles, the turbos, all of it. And I fell in love. They're fun to drive. They're stylish. They're affordable. And you get the great safety features, which means so much to me, especially when I have Drew in my car with me every single day. I know that Erica drives an Atlas as well, and so I know that we're driving some of the safest vehicles on the road. SouthPointVW.com. South Point Volkswagen, what's your direction? Muse, let's make this the Citizens Bank poll question of the day on Twitter. Who do you think will be the next Auburn coach? And you had Zach give 4 names there. He gave you Hugh Freeze, Lane Kiffin, Dion, Matt Rule were the 4 he gave. I would love it if we could have, if there was a way to do a 5th, because it would be other. But I'm really curious how this all plays out. And I'll remind you, and I asked Zach the question the way I did intentionally, so it wasn't a leading question. But I said, why would Lane Kiffin leave Ole Miss for Auburn? Because it's a question a lot of people are going to ask, but it's a question that if you pay attention, you know the answer. It's the same reason why John Cohen would leave Mississippi State for Auburn, and it's resources. In the 1950s and 60s, Johnny Vaught had great Ole Miss teams. It's 50 years ago, 60 years ago, 70 years ago. It's incredible. From the early 50s anyway. But the point is, Auburn has the resources. Terry Bowden had an undefeated season at Auburn. He was on probation, couldn't play for a title. I mean, 2004, Tommy Tuberville was undefeated at Auburn. Didn't get a chance to play for it. 2010, Auburn went undefeated. Won the national championship with Cam. 2013, Gus Miles on his first year. They're back in the – like, you can do it at Auburn. You can't do it at Ole Miss. Ole Miss is like Mississippi State. There's a ceiling there. So I get why Lane would leave. I get why Lane would leave. I'm not sure that if I'm Lane, I leave for Auburn. It's almost like Lincoln Riley. I get why Lincoln would leave Oklahoma for USC. Not a lot of other jobs that would make sense at all. But SC, you get to live the LA lifestyle. You get to recruit California. You're in a much more manageable conference. Although then he finds out, or maybe he knew what was coming with. Well, I guess he did know what was coming with the SEC and Oklahoma ahead. No, I'll jump ship. I'll go play in the Pac-12, which now I guess will be in the Big Ten. But either way, still an easier path. I guess if Lane wanted to leave, and I know he would, because Lane wanted. I mean, some of those conversations funnel through me. Not that I could facilitate any darn thing at all. But I know Lane wanted to be interviewed for the LSU job and wasn't. He wanted to be interviewed for the Florida job and wasn't. So maybe he looks at it and says, this is my chance. That'll be fascinating to watch. I mean, speaking of Tuberville, of course, it was Tuberville who back in 99 left Ole Miss for Auburn. This would be the second time an Ole Miss head coach will have left Ole Miss for Auburn if, in fact, Auburn's able to pull Lane out of Oxford. All right, it's after further review. Let me knock out a quick break. We'll go around the SEC. Of course, all the Auburn news today is headlining there, but there is some significant Tennessee and Georgia and Florida news, personnel news as well, which we'll get to. Glad you're here. It's AFR.
AFR.
Brought to you by Pluckers Nicholson, Bluebonnet. Dine in, carry out, or delivery. Yesterday, watched the Saints game. Did a little DoorDash order for Pluckers. Got me 15 wings and some fries. Yeah, it was a Sunday. Leave me alone. Decided I was going to go have a nice binge meal while I watched the Saints. I was expecting the Saints to play terribly, so I was going to at least drown my sorrow. I was going to enjoy my meal. And then, lo and behold, the majesty of 15 Pluckers wings, 5 spicy ranch, 5 garlic parm, 5 Gold Rush, and the fries was matched with the majesty of the Saints' 24-0 win over the Raiders. Hey, look, if you want to dine in, you can. Carry out, you can. You want to Uber Eats, DoorDash your wings, you can do that as well. Either Pluckers location. Remember, every Monday is all-you-can-eat wings at both locations. So you want to go watch Monday Night Football tonight, Game 3 of the World Series tonight, NBA action tonight, get by Pluckers. Pay one low price, eat wings all night long, and watch sports on TV. Eat wings, drink beer, watch sports on TV. It's Pluckers, where if you don't like our wings, we'll give you the bird.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Want more customers? Running Boards Marketing can help you get their attention. Imagine your brand's message on a giant LED billboard truck that can't be skipped and is nearly impossible to ignore. Running Boards Marketing is the leader in effective and affordable advertising on digital mobile billboards, which are 2 times more effective than traditional billboards. With a 97% recall rate, you'll leave a lasting impression with your customers. Visit us online at runningboardsmarketing.com so we can drive your message to where the people are.
Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust poll of the day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench, anytime. Hunt and Hill. And after further review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the poll of the day via Twitter at 1045ESPN.
Oh, hey, what's up? It's Big D and Bubba, 100.7 The Tiger Morning Show. We'd love for you to join us every weekday, 4 a.m. till 9 a.m.
Yeah, everything you want in a show. Country music, We got laughs. We got celebrity in-studio guests. We just need you.
Join us every weekday morning, 4 a.m. to 9 a.m., right where it all started.
That's right. Louisiana's country station, 100.7, The Tiger.
Service Master Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact Service Master Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. Service Master Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
This is a house call. This is a follow-up appointment. This is a diabetes checkup. This isn't just more convenient care, it's more advanced care. This is innovating healthcare at Louisiana's #1 hospital, Ochsner.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding. Call 288-8138 or visit reliefwindows.com. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria.
All right, we'll go around the SEC in a second. A lot of people bummed today. Found out that the LSU-Arkansas game next Saturday will be 11 a.m. on either ESPN or CBS. I'm actually really good with this. Now, look, personally, because Saturdays are work days, of course I'm okay with this. We'll be done with whiskey and wine by like 4 o'clock. I mean, I'll get home and have a day. That'd be a good time. But competitively, let me ask you this. As an LSU fan, why were you disappointed the Tennessee game was at 11 a.m.? Crowd, right? I mean, the environment of what it would have been to have a night game, Tiger Stadium, big, all that stuff. Well, if you're Tennessee, you're pretty excited that that game got moved to 11 a.m. Same with LSU here, going to Arkansas. I mean, everybody got to wipe the sleep out of their eyes. Okay. I'd rather go into a more docile environment as a road team. And the other thing, too, is ask any of these players. The worst thing about playing on the road and playing at night is you sit in the hotel all day. You travel on a Friday, have a walkthrough, maybe go catch a movie, you have team meetings, you wake up Saturday, you're sitting in your hotel all day long. Like, it's tough. Like, it's you get bored. Now, look, LSU's managed it well. They've gone on the road and won at Auburn. They've gone on the road and won at Florida this year. But they got down in both those games, although they've been down at every game, so I'm not sure that necessarily matters. But it's good. Like, go play. Just wake up and go play and come home. The negative is that, as LSU isn't used to playing 11 a.m. games. But they played one already this year. Look, they won one last year against Florida, 11 a.m. game. They played an early game last year against Arkansas. If you remember, it was the game where Max Johnson started. They pulled him. Nussmeier played from the second series on. They lost 16-13 in overtime. But it's going to be interesting to see if this is going to be an ESPN or a CBS game. Before the season starts, CBS has to designate their 2 doubleheaders, right? They get a day-night doubleheader, which they designated October 8th because they wanted Bama A&M. And then the other was this weekend that they designated, or the November 12th weekend, I should say, because when you look at the schedule, it actually makes an awful lot of sense, before the season, that this looked like it was going to be a really tasty weekend. You have Texas A&M, Auburn. Keep in mind, A&M was preseason top 10, so you're thinking, all right, A&M, Auburn, like that could be awesome. Bama, Ole Miss, which still could be, but you're thinking, man, Lane Kiffin against Nick Saban, you're going to have 2 great games to choose from there. Arkansas, remember, started 3-0 and made their way into the top 10 first year under Brian Kelly. You got the Georgia-Mississippi State game, South Carolina, Florida. I mean, you got Vanderbilt, Kentucky. But my point is, like, you could look at that in the preseason and go, man, that looks really good. You look at it now, you're like, man, Missouri, Tennessee. But anyway, it does make a little sense. So LSU, Arkansas will either be on CBS or ESPN. It will depend on the results. Like if LSU beats Bama, then CBS, of course, is going to take. If Tennessee beats Georgia, they'll be on CBS. If both LSU and Tennessee lose, it'll be interesting to see. It's a little inconsequential, but LSU will be on either CBS or ESPN. CBS will wait. They'll take the 6-day hold and wait to see what the results of this weekend's games are before they make that decision. All right, it's After Further Review. We're glad to have you aboard with us. Love telling you about Shoots Electric, CESofLA.com. Remember, just because storm season is past doesn't mean you don't think about that home standby generator right now. This is actually the best time to do it. You know when the worst time to think about a standby generator is? When there's a storm in the Gulf, because then it's too late. So do it right now. Shoots Electric, CESofLA.com, CESofLA.com. They handle everything. We finally, last year after Ida, Erica said, enough. We had a home standby generator installed from Shoots. They came and installed our Generac. They handled everything. They called the power company. They called the city, got all the permitting, all of it, installed it, walked us through it. Perfect, wonderful customer service experience. Shoots Electric. Have yours as well. It's affordable. Financing is available. And they offer 24/7, 365 customer service because power outages are not a 9-to-5 thing. It Shoots Electric. CESofLA.com. Okay, let's go around the SEC.
Around the SEC, presented by Gulf Coast Office Products. Excellence in imaging solutions. The Auburn Tigers.
All right, two big newsy items out of Auburn today. They have finalized a deal to make Mississippi State's John Cohen the next athletic director. He replaces Alan Green, who departed in August. In July, Cohen signed a 4-year extension at Mississippi State, but now he is the new athletic director at Auburn. His first order of business was firing football coach Brian Harsin. He was fired Monday, 48 hours after Auburn lost to Arkansas by 2 touchdowns. Harsin's tenure at Auburn ends with a 9-12 record. Auburn will owe Brian Harsin $15 million, half of which is due within the next 30 days. It's good to be a football coach. It's better to be a fired football coach. This is coming just 2 years after they paid Gus Malzahn $21.7 million to go away. Harsin's 45 years old, was initially signed to a 6-year, $31.5 million deal after 7 years as the head coach at Boise State.
The Tennessee Volunteers.
Hendon Hooker is your new consensus betting favorite to win the Heisman Trophy. He moved ahead of C.J. Stroud after his performance this weekend against Kentucky. Stroud second at plus 180, followed by Michigan running back Blake Corum and USC quarterback Caleb Williams, each at 12-1. No Tennessee player has ever won the Heisman Trophy. Hooker has a chance for a defining moment Saturday in Athens if they're able to beat Georgia. Tennessee is a 9-point dog to the Bulldogs.
The Georgia Bulldogs.
And that Georgia Bulldog defense will be without outside linebacker Nolan Smith, their best pass rusher, doubtful against Tennessee because of a shoulder injury. He's a senior, hurt in the first half of the win against Florida, did not return. He was replaced by sophomore Chaz Chambliss, who played well in his absence. Georgia's defense number 2 in the FBS in scoring, allowing just 10 points per game.
The Florida Gators.
And Florida has dismissed linebacker Brenton Cox Jr. Billy Napier said it was time to move on. It was a cumulative effect that led to the dismissal, not just one incident. Cox did appear to punch Georgia running back Kenny McIntosh on Saturday after McIntosh scored a touchdown in the fourth quarter of the Gators' loss to the Bulldogs. Cox leads the team in tackles for a loss, so it's not like Billy Napier is running some schmuck. I mean, he's one of their best defensive players. He started his career at Georgia, transferred to Florida back in 2019, and now his time there in Gainesville is done. Gators play at Texas A&M on Saturday. All right, there you have it. That is Around the SEC, presented by Gulf Coast Office Products. Shout out to our guy Trey Beal and our friends at Gulf Coast Office Products, online at gcopnet.com, gcopnet.com for Gulf Coast Office Products. Face-to-face sales, service after the sale, the official office equipment provider of LSU Athletics, the New Orleans Saints, New Orleans Pelicans, ULL Raging Cajuns. If you need office equipment, you need Gulf Coast Office Products. Okay, quick break. We'll come back, wrap up hour number 1. Every week we tell you what we're watching in the football weekend. On Monday we come back and we recap it. So we'll do that when we come back next. Cole Cubelic, 30 minutes from right now. Glad to have you hanging out. Stick around. It's AFR.
AFR.
AFR is brought to you by Clegg's Nursery with 4 locations in the greater Baton Rouge area. We got friends coming over and family coming over tonight for a little trick-or-treat, and our whole outside area is decorated to the nines. It's awesome. Erica went a couple of Saturdays ago and picked out all the fall flowers, the bedding plants, all that sort of stuff, the pumpkins. So if you want to do some pumpkin carving or painting, it's actually not too late if you want to grab a few pumpkins on the way home before trick-or-treat. Swing into any of the 4 Clegg's Nursery locations. Siega near Airline, LA 16 in Denham, Mid-City on Donmore, and the Garden Center on Greenwell Springs. But y'all, right now, just plant something. They are fully stocked on seasonal flowers. If you want to replant those flower beds, you want to update those patio pots, freshen up the flower beds, it's a great time to do it right now. And Clegg's has an awesome selection. So just get in there. November, also the best time to plant trees and shrubs, and they are fully stocked at Clegg's. So get on by. Buy local, shop local, and tell them Matt sent you in to Clegg's Nursery.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
Enter now for a chance to win a catch and cook fishing experience from the Louisiana Charter Boat Association with me, Chef Jay Ducote, winner of Beat Bobby Flay. Register now at gocatch.com. That's GEAUX catch.com.
Le posso offrire un caffè? Andiamo insieme da me, non c'è.
Call Mr. Electric today for electrical repairs, upgrades, and installations.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
It's no secret. The best oysters in Baton Rouge are at Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar. Enjoy mouth-watering South Louisiana flavor and oysters from all over the country. And don't forget our nightly drink specials. Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar, located in downtown Baton Rouge.
Eli's always been into grilling. It took us a while to see it, but the signs were there.
What are you doing, Eli?
I knew grilling was my thing. I have been talking about it throughout my career.
Happy with the results?
I am. Got the new grill from barbecueguys.com. It performed great.
My advice, as I always told my boys,
do more of what you were born to do.
Barbecue Guys, for those who were born to grill.
You want cheese on your burger, Pops?
I'll take a little cheese.
I'm Jay Ducote. I grew up learning how to cook at LSU tailgate parties and right in my own backyard. And I created JD's Louisiana products to bring that Louisiana flavor to you at home for your backyard cookout. JD's Louisiana barbecue sauce, Louisiana molasses mustard, spicy and sweet barbecue rub, and more are available at your local supermarkets or by logging on to jducote.com/shop. Put in promo code CST for 25% off at checkout.
There's nothing better than tailgating, but it can be a lot of work. So why do it yourself when you don't have to? Let Revelry Sports and Entertainment set up your luxury tailgate on campus. Order what you want.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding. Call 288-8138 or visit reliefwindows.com. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria.
All right, wrapping up hour number one. Tomorrow's the NFL trade deadline. Is Alvin Kamara actually being shopped? We'll talk about that in about 12 minutes from right now. All right, let's find out what we were watching.
We watched. Now let's review.
The simplicity of it all.
Hey, gotta love it. Gotta love it.
Go ahead, Muse. Fire away.
Yeah, man. Wanted to see the look-ahead spot potentially there for Tennessee. Looking ahead to Georgia. For Georgia, maybe looking ahead to Tennessee. Ha!
No.
About 42-20 and 44-6. Thanks for coming, Florida. Thanks for coming, Kentucky.
Okay. Paulie.
I was watching probably the biggest game of the day, Ohio State, Penn State. This is actually a back-and-forth game.
I watched that, too.
It was good.
It was good for about 3 quarters.
For about 3.5 quarters. Yeah.
And then Ohio State answered with 4 fourth-quarter touchdowns.
That was almost the worst beat. If you had Penn State in the points. Did you have Penn State in the points?
I didn't. I stayed away.
So I did. And it went to the fourth quarter 17-16, Penn State. Like Penn State had 17-16, maybe right at the beginning of the fourth quarter. You blinked, and Ohio State, and it's like 44-30. It was crazy, but it looked like we were going to cover. And then they throw an awful pick six to a defensive line. It's like, no! I was just destined to be on bad beats with SVP and Stanford Steve. But Penn State did come through with a score with, I don't know, a minute left in the game. So they did cover, thankfully. Man, what a dramatic shift of emotions there.
Gotta love the back door sometimes.
Speaking,
man. It's so good.
Speaking of a dramatic shift of emotions, what I was watching was the beautiful chaos of the NFC South in hopes that all teams would end up 3-5 after the weekend, and the New Orleans Saints took care of business.
Outside it goes, Abdullah, and the tackle by Warner. Read him well, gain it 2 with 2, 1, and that is all she wrote. They pitch a shutout against the number 3 scoring team in pro football. Derek Carr and the Raiders.
And I was so glad that we got to hear Kevin Harlan on the call as well.
So good.
It's the benefit of the CBS games. You get Kevin Harlan from time to time. So the Saints took care of business.
Wanted to see Sam Ehlinger's debut with the Indianapolis Colts as the starter. He's all right, man. He's 17 out of 23, 201 yards, protected the football, didn't throw a touchdown. Oh, yeah, and then the Colts lost to the Commanders.
Yeah, they stink.
I was watching the Steelers and the Eagles, and it went as you would expect.
Yes.
Eagles blew them out. Jalen Hurts, 4 touchdowns. A.J. Brown, 3 receiving touchdowns, 156 yards. You can pretty much book it. The Steelers and Mike Tomlin are going to have a losing season.
They drug tested A.J. Brown after the game, too, or this morning. He's tweeting about it.
So the Saints win to get to 3-5. The Bucs had already lost, so they did their part. Now all we needed was Carolina to win, and DJ Moore, a dramatic touchdown, and then that Moron ripped off his helmet, but it doesn't matter. Pinheiro makes the PAT. I get it's 15 yards back. We're talking about a 40-yard PAT. It's a 40-yard PAT. Just make the PAT, Pinheiro.
Carolina back. 48-yard extra point attempt by Pinheiro is no good.
Ow! Don't worry. They're going to get him in overtime.
All right, here we go.
No. Hit the swoosh. Hit the swoosh. Run over there. Hit the swoosh.
I hit the wrong thing.
Hit the swoosh.
I'm still waiting on my last one, actually, because it was how do the Bengals replace Jamar Chase?
Okay.
And that's tonight.
That
so
is tonight.
We'll figure it out.
Okay, we'll go over that tomorrow.
I was watching the NFL New York teams. The Bills look like the Bills, and the Giants and the Jets look like the Giants and the Jets.
That's about it. That's good. Yeah, good. So, Pinheiro missed at the end of regulation. No worries, though. It's going to overtime. And, boy, I'm telling you, 32-yarder to win it. Here we go. Eddie Pinheiro make up for that miss on the PAT. Surely he's going to do it and walk him off in Atlanta.
All right, here we go. Pinheiro from 33 for the win. It is no good.
You idiot! How could you do it? The one thing I had to hang my hat on after that Muse was the possibility of a tie. I was sitting there. I had Drew at the park. I'm pushing him. I'm watching the game on my phone. He's in a swing. I was pushing. That sounded bad. I'm pushing him in the swing. He's at the park. I'm pushing him in the swing. I'm like, oh, they go. This may be better. Maybe the beautiful majesty of a tie would be even better. So no one is good enough to win this game, and no one's bad enough to lose this game. They're just perfectly awful all in the same breath. So all I need is a tie. But Young Wei Koo wouldn't let it happen.
From the right hash, 2 minutes remaining in overtime. From 41 yards out, Koo's kick. It's good.
I mean, the Falcons are trying to tank. They're trying to tank, and they're leading the division at 4-4. There was one good thing yesterday in Atlanta. Our guy Big Roo went into the Ring of Honor. So congrats to Todd McClure. That was pretty cool. But that's the extent of it. And I'm trying to feverishly find this freaking graphic, and I can't. All it is Younghoe Koo's stupidity. How about the guy in the Ring of Honor? There he is. There he is. Todd McClure. There he is in his red jacket. Congrats to Todd McClure, man. Went into the Falcons Ring of Honor, so they got a win in overtime for him yesterday on the day that number 62 was immortalized in the ATL. So congrats to Big Roo. Congrats Todd McClure going to the Falcons Ring of Honor. Screw you, Eddie Pinheiro! You know PAT making bum! You screwed it up for all of us. Hour 2 next.
AFR.
Brought to you by Michelli Weighing and Measurement, Michelli.com, Michelli.com. They got 29 offices from sea to shining sea, celebrating 75 years in business. That's Michelli Weighing and Measurement, your partner for weighing and measurement equipment and services since 1947. 1947, 75 years, locally owned and operated. I tell you all the time, go to the website. The website's such a valuable tool because a lot of people know Michelli for scales. What they don't know is everything else Michelli does. Not only scales, but measurement equipment to help ensure quality control, diminish waste, increase efficiency. You can go to the website. You can request a quote. You can ship your equipment to them there at Michelli at any of their calibration labs. If you need on-site calibration, they can do that. They are an ISO 17025 accredited laboratory. Go to the website, learn more, and they are hiring. So you can go to Michelli.com, hit the careers tab, Michelli.com, Michelli.com.
They said I was small, weak, said my heart wasn't strong enough. But I showed them what heart looked like, again and again and again. Mom got me the right care, the right doctors with Blue Cross coverage. Don't let people tell you who you are. Show them the right card, the right care.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
This summer, meet Acura's heroes of performance. Only available at the Acura Summer of Performance.
This summer, visit your local Acura dealer for attractive offers on the MDX.
Want more customers? Running Boards Marketing can help you get their attention. Imagine your brand's message on a giant LED billboard truck that can't be skipped and is nearly impossible to ignore. Running Boards Marketing is the leader in effective and affordable advertising on digital mobile billboards, which are 2 times more effective than traditional billboards. With a 97% recall rate, you'll leave a lasting impression with your customers. Visit us online at runningboardsmarketing.com so we can drive your message to where the people are.
This is SportsCenter. I'm Christine Lisi. Breaking news, a big upgraded inside linebacker for the Ravens ahead of tomorrow's NFL trade deadline. They're acquiring linebacker Roquan Smith from the Bears for linebacker A.J. Klein and second and fifth round picks in 2023, reports ESPN's Adam Schefter. Smith leads the NFL in tackles this season, and he is second in the league in tackles over the last 5 seasons. He will transform Baltimore's D, believes our Chris Canty.
Having a guy like Roquan Smith and then pairing him with Patrick Queen, all of a sudden now, a lot of those communication issues that were happening in pass coverage between the second and third level defenders, that stuff goes away because one of the things that Roquan Smith is known for is being able to be the signal caller and making sure that everybody is where they need to be.
Chris Canty of Canty and Carlin. Michigan football coach Jim Harbaugh said today he expects the 4 Michigan State players, Tank Brown, Zion Young, Kahari Crump, and Angelo Gross, to face criminal charges for their involvement in injuring 2 Wolverines players in the tunnel after Michigan's win on Saturday night. Ryan Harsin's out as Auburn's coach after less than 2 seasons and a 9-12 record. His buyout's almost $16 million.
Do you own or rent your home? Sure you do. Fortunately, Geico makes it easy to bundle your home and car insurance. It's a good thing, too, because having a home is hard work. Go to geico.com, get a quote, and see how much you could save. Geico.com. Easy.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios.
That's right.
Hour 2. Off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. AFR presented by Relief Windows. I'm Matt.
You're a loser, Matt!
Paul O'Neill.
They're chanting Paul O'Neill's name.
You so. And Mr. Toby Tom Plate. All right, we're here. Glad you are as well. Get out there and make it a good one. Cole Cubelic here in about 15 minutes from right now. Maddy Hudak in hour number 3. We'll do a little film review with Maddy. What in the world got into the Saints defensive front, namely Peyton Turner, who had a career day, and also the Saints offensive line. I mean, been incredible paving the way for this running game the past few weeks. What's worked so well? We'll delve into that with a little film review next hour. Giant part, obviously, of the Saints win was Alvin Kamara. He was awesome. He was so vocal this week leading up to the game against the Raiders, even guaranteeing that they were going to whoop their expletive. Talked about what it meant to Dennis Allen, the fact that he coached the Raiders. DA acknowledged he downplayed it, but it mattered a lot to him, his former team. After the game, of course, Kamara was phenomenal. A 3-touchdown day for AK. After not getting into the end zone all year, 3 in one day. What a way to break the seal. Dennis Allen on the leadership Alvin Kamara provided.
Well, I think he's really important, and I think that leadership has grown this season, and I think he understands that when you really look offensively and some of the younger skill guys that we have, I just think that veteran leadership presence is important, and it's important to have that in your best players. And so I thought that was good to see him step up this week. And you know what? He didn't just step up in his words, he stepped up in his actions, and I think that's what a real leader does.
He was awesome. So it begs the question, if you're the Saints, why then would you trade Alvin Kamara? The short answer is you wouldn't. But Twitter was a Twitter this weekend because of several reports. So let's jump into them, and I'd like to discuss each of them. The first came from Dov Kleeman, a guy who I still don't know who he is. Muse, do you know who Dov Kleeman is? I think we've talked about this before.
We have, and I actually still don't know either, Matt.
His Twitter bio just says, I cover the NFL and keep people updated about transactions. Yeah. He's got a verified account. He's got 93,000 followers.
He's like freelance? I don't know. Yeah. I
don't know. Dov Kleeman tweeted, the Saints will consider trading franchise running back Alvin Kamara to the Eagles. He meant to say, if they offered to give them back their first-round pick, the one the Saints traded to Philadelphia, this past spring. An NFL general manager tells at Albert Breer. Okay, couple of things. First of all, I always tell you consider the source. An NFL general manager tells Albert Breer, okay, if that NFL general manager is anyone other than Mickey Loomis or Howie Roseman from the Eagles, as I tweeted, that report ain't worth a velvet painting of a whale and a dolphin getting it on. Because why would any other GM in the NFL be leaking information about what the Saints might be willing to trade for Alvin Kamara? In particular, the Eagles' compensation. Essentially, you, if you're Mickey Loomis, would be a moron not to consider that if someone's going to give you what could potentially be a top 10 pick. And if you're Howie Roseman, you should be fired immediately if you would trade a potential top 10 pick for Alvin Kamara. Again, it's not just Kamara. Kamara's a very good player. Please don't misunderstand me. I love Alvin Kamara. But Alvin Kamara's contract next year is more than $16 million. And in 2024, it's over $27 million. On top of that, the Saints would carry an enormous dead cap hit if Kamara wasn't on the roster. So financially, it makes no sense whatsoever for the Saints to trade Alvin Kamara because of his contract. And similarly, it would make no sense at all for Philadelphia to give a potential top 10 pick to New Orleans for a running back who has an accelerating contract as he approaches 30 years old, and to give up that, to take on that contract for a player who has not played a full season since his first year in the league, has missed games every year except his first year in the league, it would make no sense at all for Philadelphia to do that deal. So, Dov Kleeman, you can kick rocks because that's the worst part of Twitter and people with verified accounts who think they have news and are trying to spread something as news. That's like saying, you know what that's like? That's like saying, if you were to give me $500, I'd consider giving you $100. Who wouldn't do that? It's common sense. But why would you give me $500 if I'm going to give you $100? Nobody would. It's stupid. That's one. Now, the more relevant report is this one, which came from Jay Glazer on the Fox NFL Sunday show yesterday when he was going through his reports. Here you go.
About the Bills. Listen, trade deadline's coming up here. The Bills, are they in it for somebody else? They are trying to make a splash. They're already in it there for Christian McCaffrey. But what people don't know is they actually called about Alvin Kamara this week from the Saints. They were rebuffed there. But look, there's still other running backs out on the market. Kareem Hunt, Jeff.
So Jay Glazer says the Bills called the Saints about Kamara and were rebuffed. Now, Jay Glazer is certainly credible. I don't think anyone is going to argue to the contrary. He's one of the best when it comes to reporting on the NFL, and I have no doubt at all that if Jay Glazer is reporting that the New Orleans Saints or that Buffalo called the Saints about Kamara, they would listen. And if you're the Bills and you are all in to win a championship this year, then part of that makes sense. And you would also think of it like this. If you were New Orleans or if you're Buffalo and you're planning on being a Super Bowl team, your first-round pick this year would be a late first-round pick, right? I mean, somewhere in the 30s, like high 20s or 30s if you make it to the Super Bowl. But again, when we look at Kamara's contract, this is the drawback and going to be the drawback not only for teams trading for Alvin, but also for potentially the Saints if they were to get a deal done. Next year, Kamara's cap hit is $16 million. His dead cap number for the Saints is $19.3 million, meaning if Kamara's on the Saints roster next year, he'll count $16 million against the cap. If he's not on the roster, he counts $19.3 million against the cap. It would cost you more not to have Kamara on your roster next year than to have him. If you look at 2024, the dead number drops to $9.2 million, but his cap hit is $16.8. So someone would have to be willing to pay Alvin Kamara $16 million in 23, $16.8 million in 24, and $27 million in 2025 when he would be a 30-year-old running back. It just financially doesn't make sense unless there's a team with a very healthy salary cap that is playing for the right now. They're saying 2025, be damned, we'll figure that out in 4 years when we get, or 3 years when we get there. We're trying to win right now. And the Buffalo Bills qualify as that, but what are they willing to give up? Apparently, he never got that far, and I don't blame Mickey Loomis for it because the Saints would still have an enormous cap hit to deal with, in particular in 2023, if Kamara wasn't back. So you would have to get an enormous, incredible offer, and it doesn't seem like suitors are banging down the door. The Saints here at the trade deadline, I'm sure would love to recoup some draft capital, but you have to be realistic as to what assets are coveted and tradable. Marquez Callaway, you might be able to get a late-round pick for Marquez Callaway. I mean, you got a 6th-round pick for Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, y'all. And I get it. He's a guy in a contract year, so, trading him to Philly. Philly had no guarantees that he would re-sign, so there is that part of it. But at the same time, man, you got a 6 for Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. What would you get for Marquez Callaway? What would you get for Nick Vanette? Like, do you want to turn around and try to trade other guys on rookie contracts like Cesar Ruiz or like Marcus Davenport? Maybe, but what are you going to get for those guys? That's the legit question that the Saints have to ask and weigh right now, and the odds are not much. I mean, the Saints probably aren't going to be buyers or sellers here at the trade deadline. They're probably going to stand pat. If something comes to them and they have an opportunity to improve their team, certainly you look at it. You always take the call. You have the conversation. It just doesn't seem like the Saints are going to be in a spot to really be active at this trade deadline. I would love to see them work some type of magic to be able to improve either this team or the franchise in the future. It just doesn't seem like they're in a position with a ton of chips on the table to be able to negotiate for much of anything. All right, it's after further review. We'll knock out a quick break. Cole Cubelic will join us next. Certainly as a former Auburn guy, we'll talk to Cole about Brian Harson's firing, get Cole's early thoughts on LSU-Bama, Georgia, Tennessee. Looking forward to it. Cole Cubelic joins us next on AFR.
AFR.
Get Gordon and get it done, like we say every day right here. If you've been injured in an accident, get Gordon, get it done. Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys, who, of course, have been helping injured people in our communities for years. Get Gordon, get it done. Go to getgordon.com or give them a call at 888-8888, 888-8888. And not only is Gordon helping injured people, but he's so invested in our community. I've been telling you, of course, they have the Gordon Gives arm of Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys, which is the charitable arm. And recently, they did an awesome thing like we told you about through their Go Pink initiative. All of the NIL athletes, the Get Gordon NIL athletes, for every big play that they made, every stat that they accumulated last Saturday, Gordon unlocked donations to 3 different breast cancer awareness charities in the greater across Louisiana, and in total, $14,000 was donated on behalf of Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys to great breast cancer awareness charities. You know what to do. Get Gordon. Get it done.
Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust poll of the day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench, anytime. Hunt and Hill. And after further review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the poll of the day via Twitter at 1045ESPN.
Oh, hey, what's up? It's Big D and Bubba, 100.7 The Tiger Morning Show. We'd love for you to join us every weekday, 4 a.m. till 9 a.m.
Yeah, everything you want in a show. Country music. We got laughs. We got celebrity in-studio guests. We just need you.
Join us every weekday morning, 4 a.m. to 9 a.m., right where it all started.
That's right. Louisiana's country station, 100.7 The Tiger.
ServiceMaster Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact ServiceMaster Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. ServiceMaster Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
This is a house call. This is a follow-up appointment. This is a diabetes checkup. This isn't just more convenient care, it's more advanced care. This is innovating healthcare at Louisiana's #1 hospital, Ochsner.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding. Call 288-8138 or visit reliefwindows.com. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria.
All right, glad you're rolling along with us here. Brought to you by Relief Windows, reliefwindows.com. Remember, Cole Cubelic coming up in just a second. We're connecting with Cole right now. Remember, you can always email us, tweet us, text us in the 225-396-4400, 396-4400. 396-4400. Greg Lehman said, any speculation on game day location yet? College Game Day has announced they're going to Athens for Georgia, Tennessee. That shouldn't come as any great surprise, but they did make that announcement. They'll be in Athens. So some people maybe thought, hoped, guessed, and maybe game day might end up in Baton Rouge for LSU-Alabama. But 1 versus 3, defending champion Georgia. First time going to Athens this season. I know they had Georgia earlier, I believe for I think they were there in Atlanta for the Oregon game. But either way, you get them, and then number 3 in Tennessee, who's just been really just a gigantic story this year in college football. I get it. Glenn Formo said, why doesn't Toby Tomplay have a sound clip? So at the top of every hour, when we do our introductions, you hear a soundbite. Well, Toby is the one who does the AFR theme. So Muso turns up the AFR theme. That's why you don't hear it there. So anyway, and then Jordan Menser said the Saints have to deal with Roquan Smith now with the Ravens coming in next Monday. Yeah, so earlier today, one of the big pre-trade deadline deals is that the Ravens have made a deal to acquire Roquan Smith, phenomenal linebacker. Obviously, we all remember Roquan from his time at Georgia. This guy would have loved to have seen the Saints draft, but you understand it is what it is. But Roquan Smith traded to the Ravens, which means when the Ravens come to the Superdome a week from today, he will be with the Baltimore Ravens. So you have to deal with Patrick Queen, Roquan Smith, pretty formidable group there. All right, it's after further review. Let's chat with Cole Cubelic.
He enjoys Victory cigars and pancake blocks. It's time to preview this week in the SEC with Cole Cubelic, presented by Roosters Men's Grooming.
How are you, man?
It's been a crazy day.
Yeah, I can understand. Let me, I guess, then just ask a reaction to the Brian Harsin news.
It's funny. I was just talking to Takeo Spikes a minute ago. He called me and we were talking about it, and I was like, it feels very different than with Gus, because I think because of what that buyout was and because of the success that he did have, you still kind of wondered, was it going to happen? Could it really happen? And then it did, and a lot of people were surprised. With this, I think we all knew that this was inevitable. I'm not going to sit here and fight for Brian Harsin to have kept this job long term based on what had happened. I thought it was going to be at the end of the year. I think there was about $3 million Auburn could have saved, and I don't really like. Well, I don't know what the point of this is, but that's just me. Everybody else will tell you, oh, you can go find a new coach. Well, so the other coaches are coaching other teams. They're going to go sit and have coffee with you at Starbucks and tell you they'll take your job. Like, no, you're working behind the scenes with agents and agents of people and friends of people and other connections. Like, you're not going. Dan Mullen took the Mississippi State job and never went to Starkville in his life. Had never been. So it's just, I just hate it for the players. For all the people that said you can't do that, it won't work. It's not. You guys just did it last year over there.
Right.
Let the guy finish, and things went okay at the end. I mean, it didn't. People's faces didn't melt off. Dogs' heads didn't fall off. They coached the year and he walked away. So,
boy, it is tough.
I hate it for the players, man, because like those players are going to lose development. They're going to lose coaching time. Those coaches all have one foot out the door, and I'm not mad at them for it. I get it. I understand. They got to have jobs. It just sucks, man. I've done it. I've done it as a player. I missed a half a year as a player, and it's not cool. It's not fun. And it's easy to be on your couch watching games and celebrating right now, saying, "Oh, this is so great." Well, the kids who are actually out there doing it, it's not real great for them.
Yeah. No, it's definitely a different perspective, and it's appreciated. Do you have a feeling on where Auburn goes next?
I mean, I've heard the same names that you have. I've heard Lane Kiffin. I've heard Hugh Freeze. I've heard Jeff Grimes. You know, I think Matt Rule is a stretch. I mean, like, dude's getting a lot of money, man, and I don't know why he would want to jump back in right now, especially in college. I also think that Dion is a bit of a long shot, a possibility. You know, I think there's a lot of guys that don't have to interview for any of these jobs, and that you know what you're going to get, and maybe you just need to have a conversation with them. I think Dion, you need to sit down and talk to him. And that has nothing to do with him personally or anything like that. It's just I need to be assured that the plan that you have is going to work at this level. I need to know who you think your coordinators are going to be, who your assistant coaches are going to be. You know, I need to know your backup plan for other coaches if you're not able to get them. Like those are things, you know, organizationally. What do you need? Are we going to be able to offer it to you? You know, do you have an understanding of like the time consumption that's going to be involved with this job? And compare some of that's comparatively to what he's doing right now at Jackson State. It's not a knock about his success or what he's done or anything like that. It's just the reality of going from one to the other. Like, do you know what this is? And do you know the things you're going to be asked to do? Are you okay with that? And then probably with that job, you know, hey, here are the 4 or 5 people that you're going to need to have regular conversations with. Are you okay with that? Like, if John Cohen's the new AD, I would hope that he would have that conversation because the previous AD didn't think it was his job. So, you know, that's probably priority number one on both of those jobs that I would have listed is that you're going to need to talk to certain people, and you are going to need to be the bridge builder for those people and that next person that you're going to hire.
Hey, Cole, last thing on Auburn, and we'll talk some ball. How good of a job is this right now?
I think it has the potential to be a great job because and people will tell you that it's a bad job because of a couple of people behind the scenes, but here's the reality, Matt, those people are powerful. If you get them on your side, I think the possibilities are endless. Also, I think it's been proven that you can win there. With today's college football, you can flip a roster faster than ever.
Yep.
So they'll tell you that you don't have the talent, which they don't. They don't have the talent to be competitive in this league right now. They just don't. And I think, too, whoever this new coach is going to be the first head coach to walk into a brand new football facility that is going to be glorious, and there will not be one better in the SEC. There won't. There might be some that are just as good, but there won't be one that's clearly better. And you're going to have an NIL war chest that's ready to go. The guys who are behind Auburn's NIL program have done a great job getting the funds that they need and that are going to be needed in the future, and that thing's going to be right. So you got NIL, you got a brand new football facility, you got a program that people have won at, and you have support behind you. So, and the programs around you are having success. I mean, gymnastics is better than it's ever been. Basketball is better than it's ever been. Baseball is as good as it's ever been. So, I mean, the golf team, I think, is number one right now. Somebody told me that. I don't really pay attention to it, but I think it's awesome that they are. So, yeah, I mean, you got a lot of
dropping nuggets here, man. I love it.
A lot of good things happening. So, yeah.
He's on Twitter at Cole Cubelic.
And you're going to probably command $6 million a year.
Yeah.
Look,
you're not going to get an argument from me, man. I'm just curious what the temperature is there. Coaches want to go places where they can win championships, and you can do that at Auburn. It's been proven. Cole's conversation with us brought to you by Roosters Men's Grooming Center, 2 locations in Baton Rouge, roostersmgc.com. I want to ask you about the 2 big games in the conference coming up this weekend, but first, you were in College Station on Saturday for Ole Miss, Texas A&M. I know A&M lost again, but I'm curious if the story is Connor Wegman. Did they find a quarterback?
I think so. Now, it's interesting because you still have to sit back and say, okay, you're on your 3rd quarterback. Like,
yeah,
you don't often get there and it be good. But he's young, he's a freshman, and he's got some moxie about him. I had a long conversation with Damian Craig about him before the game. He's telling me about watching film with him and how he's getting the different checks and protections, and he knows different things, and how impressed he was. Jimbo's telling me about how calm he is, and nothing really rattles him. And then he gets in the game, and I mean, it's like not afraid to go over the middle of the field. It's like when Burrow was at LSU, everybody talked about all these different things that he did. My favorite thing that Joe Burrow did was he would bludgeon you in the middle of the field. He didn't care. Was not scared of it. And a lot of quarterbacks are scared of it, and a lot of coordinators are scared to let their quarterbacks do it. This kid tested it right over the middle early and kept going there. He got absolutely blasted on one play, and he's back in there to finish the game. So it's I think that he has a chance to be a really good quarterback. Jimbo already said he's a quarterback for the rest of the year. I'm not surprised by that because Haynes King didn't throw a pass in warm-ups. He was in uniform, but I think that was for an emergency situation. Like we watched him, he did not throw a ball. He threw a couple left-handed. He's right-handed. So he's not going to be ready to go for a while anyway. But you just think about all the youth around him, it's going to make some of it inconsistent. It's going to make the road bumpy. I mean, you had a freshman receiver catch a touchdown. You had a freshman tight end caught a pass. Freshman running back carried the ball. You got freshman D linemen. You got freshman corners, safeties, offensive linemen. They're just all over the place. So, I don't know how good the team's actually going to be at any point the rest of this year, but I do think that they have their quarterback for the rest of this year and potentially for the next few years because there's a lot of good in Connor Wigman and what we saw Saturday night.
All right, let's talk about the two big ones coming up this weekend. Of course, LSU-Bama and then Georgia-Tennessee. Cole, everybody, when they for years, for a decade in this game, LSU couldn't score. They didn't score more than 20, more than 17 for literally a decade. It feels like teams can score on Alabama now. Is LSU going to be able to move the ball and score the way they might need to win this game?
I think they'll move the ball.
It sounds so
having a mobile quarterback, I think, gives you some advantages in the red zone. So when things compress, great defenses become more difficult in the red zone, in my opinion, because usually the way that teams can, think about where today's college football is, like who gives the Georgias and the Alabamas and the Clemsons trouble? Teams who go fast, teams who spread you out, teams who have mobile quarterbacks. They create space, they create an extra gap, like. Look what Levy's doing at Oklahoma, what he was doing at Ole Miss, like what Ole Miss does now. So those teams who can force you to, so some of what LSU is doing right now and what Tennessee does right now, they run a conflict offense. So they give you the conflict of, do I play my safety out and play some of the quick game, or do I play my safety in and run support? And then they basically just choose off of that what they want to do and how they want to attack you. So I think what LSU – Coach Kelly and Coach Denbrock have done a really nice job of taking the quarterback run game, marrying it with the traditional run game, taking the RPO game on top of that, and then building some quick passing game with it. So what they did, in my opinion, this is the way the LSU offensive year has gone. You got in the first game, you saw your quarterback didn't like to get to his third progression. You saw they like to put the ball down and run too quickly, okay? The offensive line wasn't just going to be able to say, all right, we're going to live on inside zone and push people around. So what do? You adapt. You have good receivers, more 4 or 5 receiver sets. Let the quarterback throw the ball quick. Don't worry about getting past your second progression. Just let him run the ball. And, oh, by the way, he could run really well. Let's build in some quarterback runs around it. Oh, okay. Let's let him decide, hand it off or throw it, and then we don't have to worry about a second progression. It's boom, boom, 1-2. Well, it's starting to work. And now you got a little continuity on the offensive line. Receivers are making some plays. Backs are helping out a little bit. And the quarterback's more comfortable. When Jaden Daniels is in rhythm, when the timing is there, he's really, really good. Now, when he has to start thinking and moving and looking around, that's when things get a little bit shaky. So I think all that being said, you can spread Alabama out. You immediately neutralize them. Alabama is just not as big and bad up front as they used to be. Now, the concern is they are on the edge. And you got 2 freshman tackles that are got to try to block Will Anderson and Dallas Turner. Once again, though, with a mobile quarterback, you can neutralize that to an extent. If those DNs want to fly upfield, well, there goes your quarterback run right there, because that B gap opens up in a hurry, and all of a sudden you just let Jaden Daniels just leave. I don't think Henry To'oTo'o can run with Jaden Daniels. I don't think Jaden Moody can run with Jaden Daniels. So you can spy him, but I don't know if those guys can catch him. I don't know if they can run with him. I don't know. Unless Pete Golding wants to go with a different sub package and put a different person in that will be the spy on Jaden Daniels, I don't know how effective that person would be. Now, if we could go back to the Les Miles era and find an invisible spy, which he was always searching for, then I think Alabama would have a massive advantage. But I don't see that happening in that game Saturday night. So, yeah, I think they can move the ball. I don't love LSU's offense in the red zone, but just because they're not a group that physically is ready to just maul you right now. But you got a tight end that's coming on. He can help you a little bit there. And you got some good receivers that can do some things. So you continue to get creative and find ways. Mobile quarterback helps there, but I definitely think they'll move the ball.
All right. In Athens, it's one of the best scoring offenses in college football against one of the best scoring defenses in college football. It's what's the impenetrable object, the immovable force, whatever it is. All right. So who has the edge there?
I'm just not betting against this Tennessee offense right now, Matt. I'm not.
Same.
I mean, I don't know how you can. And there are other aspects of it that you look at, like the middle of that defense, like 95, 21, 11. They're all playing really good football for that Tennessee defensive line. Jeremy Banks is playing well at linebacker. They get Jalen McCullough back. I think the defense is enough for them to win any game that they'll be in with any team, because this is the thing that people have to understand is what Tennessee is doing offensively right now. It's not just throwing and catching. It is by design. It is unique. And it is specific as to where they want to attack you. And Brad White took the plan in that I would take in, and that is play cover 3, cover 4, stay back. If you run for 250 and it takes you 47 carries, that's fine, because at least we're making you work for it. But by God, we're going to make you work. But we can't trade explosive touchdowns back and forth. And Kentucky actually looked like they were better built to do that this year than they were last year, and they couldn't do it again like they did last year. So I think you stay back and try to make them work, and Brad White did it, and they had a safety bite up on a little dig route, and scissors concept, Jalen Hyatt up the sideline, it's over. So I don't see how Tennessee doesn't have the advantage here. That offense is just, you got a quarterback that knows exactly where to go, when to go, how to go. He can utilize his legs. The offensive line's playing really well. The left side of that offensive line's playing outstanding football. And it's kind of like on defense, you can only do so many things, because defense is reactionary to what the offense is doing. And if they're giving you these stack and bunch formations and formations into the boundary and they're going fast, like, what can you really do? You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, especially when the tempo picks up, you almost can't do anything. So I do think Georgia is better in man coverage. They have more capable guys in man coverage, and that's where they have to win this game. They have to play man, and they have to win in man, and that's really hard to do for 60 minutes in today's college football.
He's Cole Cubelic, SEC Network, Jocks FM. He's on Twitter at Cole Cubelic. Y'all give him a follow. Conversation brought to you each week by Roosters Men's Grooming Center, roostersmgc.com. 2 locations in Baton Rouge. Thanks, man. We appreciate you.
Always appreciate you, Matt.
Oh, man. Be well. It's Cole Cubelic. This is After Further Review. We'll knock out a quick break and continue on AFR.
AFR.
Love telling you about Rouse's, official supermarket of the New Orleans Saints. Rouse's.com. Rouse's.com. Y'all check out our friends over at Rouse's, of course. Game day coming up on Saturday. Eagle 98.1 Game Day with Hanny and Muse will be there starting 6 o'clock. So 1 o'clock is when Eagle 98.1 Game Day will begin. So if you want to get on by, if you're heading out to campus, stop on in right there. Rouse's on Burbank. See the guys, catch some of the show, do your shopping. Rouse's actually offers complimentary draft beer while you shop. So if you're of age, you can grab a cup, and while you walk around and do your shopping, you can sip on a cold beverage. That's at Rouse's, the official supermarket of the New Orleans Saints. If it's for your tailgate or your game watch, remember, you can check out their food options, and they've got tons of great things. Go to the website, rouses.com, or the app, tap the Our Food icon right there, and you can see everything they have, from catering and cakes and desserts and prepared foods, the butcher shop, the seafood market, cheese and charcuterie. They got you at Rouse's. This feels like home.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
It's no secret. The best oysters in Baton Rouge are at Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar. Enjoy mouth-watering South Louisiana flavor and oysters from all over the country. And don't forget our nightly drink specials. Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar, located in downtown Baton Rouge.
Eli's always been into grilling. It took us a while to see it, but the signs were there.
What are you doing, Eli?
I knew grilling was my thing. I have been talking about it throughout my career.
Happy with the results?
I am. Got the new grill from barbecueguys.com. It performed great.
My advice, as I always told my boys,
do more of what you're born to do.
Barbecue Guys, for those who were born to grill.
You want cheese on your burger, Pops?
I'll take a little cheese.
I'm Jay Ducote. I grew up learning how to cook at LSU tailgate parties and right in my own backyard. And I created JD's Louisiana products to bring that Louisiana flavor to you at home for your backyard cookout. JD's Louisiana barbecue sauce, Louisiana molasses mustard, spicy and sweet barbecue rub, and more are available at your local supermarkets or by logging on to jducote.com/shop. Put in promo code CST for 25% off at checkout.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
Le posso offrire un caffè? Andiamo insieme da me, non c'è.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding. Call 288-8138 or visit reliefwindows.com. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria.
Well, it's a big day, as you know. It's Nick Saban's birthday, so I want to wish him a happy birthday to start this off, and maybe that'll soften things up a little bit.
He did actually ramble for about 15 more seconds after that. Sometimes he can kind of awkward. We're learning Brian Kelly, right? Muse, you cut Brian Kelly audio every week. You learning tendencies there with him?
Yes, very much. Yeah, he's got a lot.
Would you like to elaborate on this long form talk format?
Yeah, I would, Matt. Actually,
I would really
no problem.
appreciate it.
My pleasure, if you would. Is a huge crutch for him. I will say that. I take a lot of ums out when I cut the audio for BK there, and jokes.
Likes his jokes.
If you want to call him that, there's at least one in every single media opportunity.
That for me has been the biggest surprise, Brian Kelly. Like he's not a cold, hardened guy. Like
no.
He tries to be.
He wants to have fun.
Dude comes in every day like with his white sole shoes and his blazers, looking fly and fresh and young. Like I'm learning a lot about him. And now the one thing we haven't seen is what's he like when the heat cranks up. Like hit a 3-game losing streak and let's see how you are. But today, maybe the most, and we're going to talk about, we'll let you hear plenty of what Brian Kelly had to say coming up after the top of this. About 20 minutes from right now, we'll go a little deeper into what he had to say, some injury updates, all that sort of stuff. But one of the things in particular he said today, and I'm going to paraphrase it, unless if you know where it is right off the jump, but he was essentially saying, with respect to playing Bama and gives like, we're not there yet. And it's interesting. It was Wilson Alexander asked him the question. It was a long question about how you build the roster to compete with Bama and all. It was a long, and Kelly kind of laughed and and had a long answer. But in that, he essentially said, we want to be them, but we're not them. But this weekend, you have to play them. And if you beat them this weekend, you're leading the West. So you could be very ahead of schedule if you manage to find a way to play your best ball this week and win. So we'll get into that, again, coming up here in about 20 minutes from right now. Got an injury update on Mark Ingram. I'll share that with you here in just a moment. Reminds you about the aesthetic medicine and anti-aging clinics of Louisiana. Bluebonnet in Baton Rouge, Ambassador Caffrey in Lafayette, online at theantiagingclinics.com. Theantiagingclinics.com for the aesthetic medicine and anti-aging clinics of Louisiana. I tell you all the time about hormone replacement therapy. Look, I mean, there's new places that pop up every day that do anti-aging or hormone therapy. I'll tell you the one thing about the aesthetic medicine and anti-aging clinics of Louisiana that for me is the most comforting thing. The reason why I'm a patient there is Dr. Todd Howell. There's a lot of people who have anti-aging specialists or whatever they may call them, but they don't call them as doctors. Dr. Todd Howell is an MD. So when I go do my blood draws and my labs and my care is under the watchful eye of a medical doctor. And that gives me a lot of comfort, peace of mind, and I feel great. HRT is something that many people are starting to learn more about and understand more about, but all of us age. As we age, all of us age differently. And our bodies produce less of the hormones that contribute to how we feel. And it happens at a different rate in every single person. And stress can be an accelerator to a lot of things. So no matter what your numerical age is, it may not map to how your body feels. So it's all about how you feel. Let them take a look at your blood labs there. The aesthetic medicine and anti-aging clinics of Louisiana. See if you can get feeling like your younger self. Theantiagingclinics.com. Theantiagingclinics.com. Muse, give me a poll question update if you would real quick.
Sure. Today's Citizens Bank poll question of the day. Who will be the next head coach at Auburn? Matt Rule leads with 45% of the vote. Other options, Lane Kiffin, Hugh Freeze, Coach Prime.
Yeah, not a lot of votes on it yet. So you can go to the 1045 ESPN Twitter, at 1045 ESPN if you want to go vote. It's interesting because I think the question asked not who's the best coach or who would be the best fit or who would have the most success. It's who will be the next coach. I think outside of Auburn, you're going to get a different answer. It's interesting to me talking to Zach Blackerby earlier, in the show, and then talking to Cole just a bit ago, and following a lot of these folks on Twitter that I know, personally, that cover Auburn and do a great job, that have their finger on the pulse. It certainly seems like their first call is going to be Lane Kiffin. Now, can they make that deal work? I don't know. Would Lane take the job? I don't know. But it's interesting to see that massive disparity. Matt Rule at 45%, everyone else there at 17, 18, 19% with Kiffin, Freeze, and Dion. So, look, just from my opinion, by the way, I would love it if Lane Kiffin left Ole Miss. Just to be very clear. You know my feeling on this. I believe in balance of power. I believe in order. And when you're LSU, and every year, you've heard me say it, you got to play Bama and Auburn and Texas A&M and Florida's your permanent. Like, you don't need the Mississippi schools winning 10 games and going to New Year's 6 games. You need Ole Miss being a runt and Mississippi State being happy to get to 7-5 and go and bowl it. Like, that's what they need to be. You need to be able to get your schedule poster in April or in August, take a Sharpie, and put a W next to the Mississippi schools. That's what it has to be. Lane Kiffin at Ole Miss is terrifying because he makes Ole Miss a threat every year. They beat the hell out of you last year in Oxford. I don't need that in my life. You know what I need? I need Matt Luke Ole Miss. That's what I don't need Lane Kiffin Ole Miss. I need Matt Luke Ole Miss. So yes, look, Auburn's going to be a threat either way. They got a great stadium, they got great history, they get good players, they got tons of resources. They're going to be good either way. And I get it. I mean, Brian Harsin stunk there. They were still up 17-0 on you this year. The worst team Auburn's ever had in 2012. You escaped Jordan Hare with a 12-10 win. Like, I get it. Auburn's always going to be tough. They're always going to be tough. What I need is the Mississippi schools to not be good. So, yeah, get Lane Kiffin out of Oxford, please. And maybe the dysfunction in Auburn will cause that to crumble. That's what I would like to see happen. All right. Mark Ingram update real quick. If you're watching the Saints game yesterday, Mark Ingram went down. He didn't contribute much. He was only on the field for 5 snaps. He caught a pass for 2 yards. On one of the tackles, he went down with injury. Turns out he has, this is a report from Ian Rappaport. Grade 2 MCL sprain, likely out 3 to 4 weeks. So it becomes an interesting question now for the Saints what you do at running back. You know, Tony Jones Jr. is in Seattle. Latavius Murray
present,
is in Denver. I tried to give you the big lean look, too, to give you the heads up. You're welcome. I got you. So what do you do if you're the Saints? The only other running back you have is Dwayne Washington. So are you content to go Kamara, Dwayne Washington, that's it? It feels like you're going to have to add somebody here, unless the only other option is, do you kind of ride with the Taysom Hill package and recognize that if Taysom's Taysom had 10 carries, I think it was 11 touches. He caught it because he caught a pass. I'm trying to pull up the box score. My apologies. I think he had 10 rushes. Yeah, 10 rushes for 61 yards. Excuse me. 10 for 61. So I don't care where it comes from. I don't care if it comes out of the single wing, out of traditional running back sets, on sweep motion. I don't care. But if Taysom's going to give you 10 carries a game, that's more than it's more than enough from a second team running back, however you want to phrase it. And specifically, you know, when you think of Taysom as a tight end, even though we've talked he's not a traditional tight end, you're waiting for Troutman to come back. But the emergence of Juwan Johnson has been one of the very pleasant surprises this year. He's put on weight. He's turned himself into a true pass-catching tight end. I'm not telling you he's George Kittle, but he has been very good for this team in place of Troutman. And when Troutman comes back, you get even more depth there at that position. So Taysom doesn't have to play tight end, air quotes. But Mark Ingram likely out 3 to 4 weeks with an MCL sprain. See if the Saints do make a move to bring in a running back. If they do, we'll certainly talk about it. All right, it's After Further Review, brought to you by Shawbills Tire and Auto Service, ShawBillsTire.com. If you weren't here on Friday, I told you a story. I dropped off Drew at school, was heading over to Traction to work out. Going down Starring. A guy's leaning out the window, pointing at me. We come up to the red light. He's like, hey, man, your back tire is getting really, really low. Turns out I had rolled over a razor blade. I go pull into Shawbills. I'm in and out in 30 minutes, y'all. Had no appointment, and it cost me nothing. And it's not because I talk about them on the radio. It's because at Shawbills, they will patch your tires for free. They got me in and out. I mean, I pulled in, I walked in. They're like, hey, is anybody picking you up, or are you waiting on your vehicle? I said, well, how long is it going to take? I said, well, we have a bay. We can get to you right now. Boom, pulled the car in. They patched the tire. I was out of there in less than 30 minutes with no appointment and didn't have to pay anything. That's why even if the day comes that I'm not talking about Shawbills, I'm not endorsing it anymore, whatever, I'll still be a customer forever. They're just the best. Bumper-to-bumper auto service and name brand tires at wholesale prices. Shawbills, where we keep you rolling. Okay, let me knock out our final break here of hour number 2. We'll do Tigers and the Pros to wrap up the hour. And right after SportsCenter, then Brian Kelly previewing Alabama. We'll delve into it. Stick around. It's AFR.
AFR.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
Oh, hey, what's up? It's Big D and Bubba, 100.7 The Tiger Morning Show. We'd love for you to join us every weekday, 4 a.m. till 9 a.m.
Yeah, everything you want in a show. Country music. We got laughs. We got celebrity in-studio guests. We just need you.
Join us every weekday morning, 4 a.m. to 9 a.m., right where it all started.
That's right. Louisiana's country station, 100.7 The Tiger.
Want more customers? Running Parts Marketing can help you get their attention. Imagine your brand's message on a giant LED billboard truck that can't be skipped and is nearly impossible to ignore. Running Boards Marketing is the leader in effective and affordable advertising on digital mobile billboards, which are 2 times more effective than traditional billboards. With a 97% recall rate, you'll leave a lasting impression with your customers. Visit us online at runningboardsmarketing.com so we can drive your message to where the people are.
Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust Poll of the Day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench, anytime. Hunt and Hill. And after further review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the Poll of the Day via Twitter at 1045ESPN.
This summer, meet Acura's heroes of performance. Only available at the Acura Summer of Performance.
This summer, visit your local Acura dealer for attractive offers on the MDX.
ServiceMaster Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact ServiceMaster Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. ServiceMaster Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
This is a house call. This is a follow-up appointment. This is a diabetes checkup. This isn't just more convenient care, it's more advanced care. This is innovating healthcare at Louisiana's #1 hospital, Ochsner.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding. Call 288-8138 or visit reliefwindows.com. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria.
Massive shout out to Spencer Sanborn. I'm embarrassed. How could I forget? I'm so humiliated by this. Mark Ingram, MCL, out 3 to 4 weeks. Do the Saints go look for a running back? No, the Saints don't go looking for a running back. Hey, Muse, remember who they have? They got Jake Funk. I mean, are you kidding me?
Elevating. Let's go. Let's get it going. Elevating. Come on. What are we waiting on?
I feel like I have this insane cosmic power. Did I injure Mark Ingram? I prayed to the Lord God, please, I need this. I need Jake Funk. Ingram, MCL, hit the bench, bum.
Like what, 2 weeks later? I mean,
in all seriousness, I hope he's okay. Like, yeah. I don't want him to be hurt. I'm sorry. Like, that's just a joke. But I want Jake Funk so badly. I mean, from the same part of my brain that gave us Todd Peterson.
Todd Peterson.
Is the same part of my brain that gave us Latavius Murray.
Murray, present.
Is the same part of my brain that when I saw the Saints sign Jake Funk, I thought immediately, I got to have the Funk. Muse, I've completely eaten up your time for Tigers in the Pros.
Yep.
I don't know if you can do it quickly.
Nope.
What do you have to tell us, Muse, about Tigers in the Pros? What were you going to tell us?
A lot of things in the NFL.
Oh, really?
Yeah, a lot of things in the NFL. A little World Series recap for the weekend as well that we missed. Bregman had a homer in Game 2. They won. Played really well Friday as well. Some interceptions. Dante Jackson.
Oh, yeah.
Christian Fulton had a pick as well. And then tonight,
tell me more.
Tonight, I mean, you got Joey B.
Oh, Joey B tonight. Trick-or-treating Joey B.
You got Cade York.
Oh.
You got
Grant Delpit.
Grant Delpit. I was going to say Jacob Phillips, but he's on
He's
IR.
hurt.
Yeah, he's on
Somebody
IR.
else. Posick.
Ethan Posick.
Yeah.
I mean, Terrace Marshall had a heck of a day yesterday.
Did he? Wow.
Probably his best day as a pro. I'd have to really go back and look, but I mean, he had 87 yards receiving, so he was really good for the Panthers.
I'm sure this would have been a great Tigers in the pros.
Debo Jones played well for the Jets.
Debo Jones with the Jets? No, he's in Cleveland. Did they move him? Well, he's supposed to be playing for Cleveland tonight. Make sure you got the right. Make sure you got the right. Till Paulie's laughing. Like, what are we talking about?
You're right. No, you're right.
I know I'm right. Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. LMFJ. I got 10 seconds. Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. Had we actually done Tigers in the pros, it would have been brought to you by Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. Hour 3 next.
AFR.
As we put a button here on hour number 2, love telling you about Mold Zero. My guy Jim Woodworth over at Mold Zero, just a phenomenal guy. And Mold Zero is everything changing the game. Kind of like how the van game has changed with Terrio. Mold Zero has changed the game. If you have mold, you don't have to cut sheetrock. There's no demolition here. You're not ripping out things from your attic. Mold Zero is a patented, non-toxic, dry fog. So they'll come into your home, your office, place of business, whatever it is. They'll spray this fog. They'll let it dwell. So, of course, mold can spore and all that stuff. So they let it dwell for about 45 minutes to make sure it kills everything. And then as soon as the fog dissipates, you go back in. It gets into every nook and cranny of your home, business, office, and you don't have to cut sheetrock or anything. There's no demolition. Mold Zero. Baton Rouge, New Orleans, the entire greater Baton Rouge, New Orleans areas, mold-0usa.com. Online, check them out, mold-0usa.com.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
It's no secret, the best oysters in Baton Rouge are at Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar. Enjoy mouth-watering South Louisiana flavor and oysters from all over the country. And don't forget our nightly drink specials. Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar, located in downtown Baton Rouge.
Eli's always been into grilling. It took us a while to see it, but the signs were there.
What are you doing, Eli?
I knew grilling was my thing. I have been talking about it throughout my career.
Happy with the results?
I am. Got the new grill from barbecueguys.com. It performed great.
My advice, as I always told my boys,
do more of what you're born to do.
Barbecue Guys, for those who were born to grill.
You want cheese on your burger, Pops?
I'll take a little cheese.
I'm Jay Ducote. I grew up learning how to cook at LSU tailgate parties and right in my own backyard. And I created JD's Louisiana Products to bring that Louisiana flavor to you at home for your backyard cookout. JD's Louisiana barbecue sauce, Louisiana molasses mustard, spicy and sweet barbecue rub, and more are available at your local supermarkets or by logging on to jducote.com/shop. Put in promo code CST for 25% off at checkout.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. The Ravens taking care of a major weakness in the middle of their defense ahead of tomorrow's NFL trade deadline. They've acquired linebacker Roquan Smith from the Bears for linebacker A.J. Klein and 2nd and 5th round picks in 2023, reports ESPN's Adam Schefter. Smith upgrades Baltimore at inside linebacker and that defense overall, explains ESPN's Marcus Spears.
The fit is perfect for this defense and the way they play it schematically, but the fit is also perfect from where we think about the Ravens from a defensive standpoint and their mentality. Downhill, pull-the-pin type guys in the run game and linebackers that can run east and west, sideline to sideline.
Baltimore's Rashad Bateman expected to miss a few weeks after aggravating a foot injury. He is quarterback Lamar Jackson's top receiver. Rams receiver Cooper Kupp is dealing with soft tissue swelling in his ankle. Nothing structurally wrong, though. LA anticipates that he will play Sunday against Tampa Bay. Bills corner Trey White expected to be activated to the 53-man roster after nearly a year of rehabbing a torn ACL. NBA Nets guard Ben Simmons out tonight against the Pacers because of left knee soreness.
ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. Progressive offers a great price and round-the-clock protection when bundling home and auto. It's one of those rare times where you could save money and get something great. Bundle today at Progressive.com.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios.
That's right.
Hour 3, off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us, AFR. Presented by Relief Windows. I'm Matt.
This is Shaq O'Neal, and I hate Matt.
Paul O'Neal.
They're chanting Paul O'Neal's name.
Yusu. And Mr. Toby Tom Blake. All right, we're here. Glad you are as well. 5 o'clock, quitting time. Glad you are driving home with us. We'll chat with Maddy Hudak in about 15 minutes. We'll Saints film review. How in the world did that defensive line get off the way they did? What about the offensive line paving the way for the running game? A giant day for Alvin Kamara. We'll get into all of it with Maddy here in about 15 minutes from right now. It is LSU-Bama week on Monday. The respective head coaches started the week by expressing general niceties toward each other. First, Brian Kelly on Nick Saban.
You know, certainly what's to say about Alabama other than consistency, excellence, you know, arguably the greatest head coach in college football history. And Nick Saban, I have a great deal of respect for Nick and what he's accomplished and what he's done for college football.
And Nick Saban returned the niceties as well.
Well, they're always very well coached. They're always physical. This will be a physical game. They always have balance on offense. They're going to run the ball. They've got a very good throwing scheme. Utilize the personnel that they have, you know, very, very well. And, you know, they've historically played really well on defense and special teams. So it's typical of what a well-coached team, you know, usually does. And they've gotten to the point where, and all of his teams have been this way, they don't beat themselves. You know, you got to execute and beat them, and I think that's got to be the focus, you know, for our team.
This is not new for Brian Kelly facing Nick Saban. The 2013 BCS National Championship game, his team got blown out by Alabama. And then in the college football playoff, they met in the semifinals and took a stomping there again. So Brian Kelly was asked about his previous matchups against Nick Saban.
They were extremely talented teams. The 13 team was as physical as a football team that I've ever played against and have not played a team as physical. And then if you look at the perimeter skill that they had, in I think that was 19. It was amazing. So, two different teams, but, just fabulous players on both sides of the ball.
That's not going to be any different this weekend. Alabama's still going to have a ton of great players, and that's the challenge that Brian Kelly's going to have this year and moving forward for as long as Nick's at Alabama, is trying to match that talent and then outcoach them. There's been a lot of years where, you can look at LSU and Alabama, and even this year, the top two teams with NFL talent, LSU and Alabama, LSU. This game produces more NFL talent than any rivalry in the country that's played annually, and the shortcoming for LSU in years past has been coaching. It was Nick Saban against Les Miles. That was not a fair fight. And it took an NFL roster that LSU had in 2019 to go to Tuscaloosa and win. How does that start to normalize? Well, the hope is Brian Kelly matches them with talent and then obviously matches in coaching as well. So this is an interesting week, and LSU's coming off the bye. First, a couple of injury updates. Brian Kelly first on Major Burns. This is number 7 update on Major Burns.
So Major Burns is cleared to participate, so he'll be out at practice today. So he, as you can imagine, will be in our game plan, and we expect him to play and be an important part of what we do.
I think that's significant. As important as Joe Fouché has been in weeks past, and I think Joe Fouché will be a huge factor against Arkansas next week, by the way. As much as they run the ball with KJ Jefferson, you want that big physical box safety who can play the box. Now, Major Burns isn't afraid of contact, but Major Burns is probably better in coverage. I think they're going to need that this week against Alabama. Also, an update on Garrett Dellinger, the left guard.
Garrett Dellinger is day-to-day. He had a good weekend. He was here this weekend. As you can imagine, that's a little bit different because he's got to be able to take a load on that knee. And, when you're coming back from a knee injury, it's easier to obviously not have to worry about running and cutting, but you've got to be able to take the load, and that's what we're working on right now. We think we're going to get him there, but it's still a process because now we're going to add practice onto it. And so we got to see how he responds each day after practice. We had people leaning on him individually over the weekend. Now we're going to be leaning on him for a full practice, and we'll see how it goes. But he's making good progress.
That was interesting. He was talking about literally having people lean on him to see if his knee could support the weight. Now you have to go do football actions. Garrett Dellinger, when healthy, is one of your best 5. I don't think anybody would argue. And outside of the 2 freshmen, he's probably your best lineman. Now, Campbell and Jones are going to get there and are going to be awesome and special. Maybe already are. But Dellinger is one of your best 5 when healthy. The question is, if he's not healthy, is a healthy Miles Frazier a better option? And that may be the answer. And the last 2 games, Frazier filling in for Dellinger at left guard has looked really good. That unit has looked really good. So I don't know necessarily that you're in a bad spot there either way. Also, an update on Jack Besh and John Emery going into this week.
Both positive. They'll both practice today. I'm certain Jack will practice. I didn't get a report from our training room on Emery, but I did get a report before I got in here on Jack, and he is much improved, and he was cleared to get out on the practice field today.
It will be interesting to see what role Jack may fill provided he plays. He had been your returner. Noah Kane returned kickoffs with Jack out. And Gregory Clayton, although LSU didn't have to return a punt last week, Gregory Clayton would theoretically be that guy. When Jack got hurt, Clayton was the one who replaced him. As far as John Emery's dynamic, and I think I've said this enough throughout the course of the year, but I don't know that I'm expecting the game where John Emery has 18 carries for $162. What I'm expecting from John Emery when he's available is, can you get the ball to John 8 to 10 times, and in 1 or 2 of those touches, he busts a 25, 30-yarder that flips the field? Or maybe he rips off the 60-yard run, right? Like the big play that's going to flip the field or change the scoreboard. He did that against Florida. Florida, I think, is the best example of that. He got in the end zone twice. He threw him a little screen pass. He made a dude miss, into the end zone on the left sideline. Like, that's what John Emery brings you. maybe because he missed so much time and they bring him along slowly, and you had other guys, and Goodwin's now healthy, I don't know that you're going to see, even if Emory is healthy, that big workload. But the dynamic playmaker, can he be the guy that provides the play, that's the spark, that flips the score, flips the field, leads to a score, that sort of thing. You'd love to have him for the Bama game. But, boy, Armani Goodwin certainly looked explosive coming back against Ole Miss. And with another week off with the bye, you'd think he could be even better against Alabama, which would be great to see. One question I know that everybody's going to wonder about is at linebacker and what the plan is there, and in particular this week where you have Bryce Young, who is so dynamic. I thought Texas did a masterful job against Bryce Young earlier this year, but how they were able to contain him from not beating him with his legs. Now, of course, moving in the pocket, he was able to extend plays, and his receivers let him down, but a big part of that is linebacker talent. So Brian Kelly was asked, and you all know what name you're listening for, but here was Brian Kelly on the linebackers.
Well, I think it's important that the best players play, and I think we've seen consistently who those players are. Micah Baskerville's been playing, really good football for us. Obviously we want to get Ojulari on the field and Perkins. Those guys are making plays and have had, for us, high production. So not that Greg has not, and certainly has done a really nice job for us as well, but those are your high production guys. And so when you're playing a team like Alabama, if you know what you're doing at all, you better get your best players on the field.
Baskerville leads LSU with 49 tackles. Greg, who Brian Kelly alluded to there, was Greg Penn, who wasn't one of the top three he mentioned. He mentioned Baskerville, Ojulari, Perkins, right? Greg Penn's second on your team in tackles at 38. By the way, Harold Perkins is third at 36. So just consider the disparity in snaps, where Penn has been a starter all year. Perkins has been more of a role player, and in the last two games, you've seen the workload dramatically increase, really against Auburn, but then you saw it step back against Tennessee, as we all were, to the chagrin of many of us, you saw it elevate again against Florida and then against Ole Miss. Despite having fewer reps, the production is exceeding many of the guys who have been on the field a lot. You can't justify at this point having Harold Perkins on the sideline. You just can't. He's too dynamic, and in this game in particular, even if Perkins' sole role is spy 9, just do not let Bryce Young annihilate this defense, then that's the role he plays, and that would be awesome. And maybe he even provides some of those game-changing plays. So that is going to be music to a lot of LSU fans' ears, the way they're planning on handling this. So LSU just getting started here. They're on the practice field today on Monday, getting ready for Bama week. As they're about as healthy as they've been all year and playing with a ton of confidence right now. And got an Alabama team coming in that has a lot to play for, but really no margin for error. And a team that certainly has dominated the series over the last decade. But it feels very much like a different game now. The fear with Alabama, and I use that term loosely, was you could never score. I mean, from the game that LSU won in 2010 until 2019, the most points LSU scored in that game was 17. So, man, to play a game where you feel like you can move the ball and you can score and you can put points on the board and you can hurt their defense, which, because they were so dominant on the defensive front for so many years and stylistically what LSU did, it wasn't conducive to moving the ball. It feels like LSU is going to be able to score. I'm not telling you they're going to score 52 like Tennessee did, but you may not have to either. But feels like we're in for what should be a competitive game, one that's going to be far more competitive than many, including yours truly, thought when the season started. All right, it's after further review. We'll knock out a quick break. Saints got a win yesterday, shut out the Raiders, the number 3 scoring offense in the NFL, and the Saints shut them out. How in the world did they do it? I'll do some film review with Maddy Hudak next on AFR.
AFR.
Better coverage for less money. That's Insurance Network of Louisiana. All of us have insurance, and too many of us are overpaying and underinsured. Don't be that person. Get better coverage for less money. That's what Insurance Network of Louisiana does. It's an easy process, and this is not a sales tactic. I got to underscore this. Nobody wants, we are bombarded every day with so many ads. And so many of them are pushy and salespeople that are trying to, hook us with with some lead, and then, it's not what it appears to be. Insurance Network of Louisiana, it is this simple. You tell them what current coverage you have, and then they go shop for free. You don't pay them anything. And they either can get you better coverage for less money and you switch, or you stick with what you got. It's that easy. Call them, 293-0450, 293-0450. Better coverage for less money. LAinsurance.net.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
This summer, meet Acura's heroes of performance. Only available at the Acura Summer of Performance.
This summer, visit your local Acura dealer for attractive offers on the MDX.
Want more customers? Running Boards Marketing can help you get their attention. Imagine your brand's message on a giant LED billboard truck that can't be skipped and is nearly impossible to ignore. Running Boards Marketing is the leader in effective and affordable advertising on digital mobile billboards, which are 2 times more effective than traditional billboards. With a 97% recall rate, you'll leave a lasting impression with your customers. Visit us online at runningboardsmarketing.com so we can drive your message to where the people are.
Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust poll of the day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench, anytime. Hunt and Hill. And after further review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the poll of the day via Twitter at 1045ESPN. After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding. Call 288-8138 or visit reliefwindows.com. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria.
Yeah, well, look, I think anytime you get a chance to get a shutout in a game, I think that's huge. You know, they're hard to come by in our league, and the defense was challenged this week in terms of stepping up and playing the way that we're capable of playing. I thought they came out and played with energy, passion. I thought they played with a swagger, which was good to see.
Where would you rate the Saints shutting out the Raiders on a scale of improbability heading into Sunday? Man, but was it good to see. Maddy Hudak joins us on Mondays, little film review. She's an analyst consultant with Next Gen PR and Scout Academy. Does great work, covers games for us. You can read her stuff at Saints Wire as well, sideline reporter for Tulane. Maddy, we appreciate you. How are you?
I'm doing good. I apologize if my voice goes in and out from the fun norovirus going around New Orleans.
I'm not laughing at you. I was missing the We Out Chat tweet from the press box on Sunday, but glad you were able to watch the game. We do appreciate you for toughing it out and joining us today. Okay, I want to start with sort of maybe a big picture, obvious one, then we can maybe get into some nuance. How in the world did the Saints defense, which was 31st in the NFL in scoring, shut out the third best scoring offense in the NFL?
Honestly, it seems like a very simple solution where the pass rush finally got off and the coverage finally shored up, but it was really who shored up in coverage that stuck out the most to me. So I feel like the Saints defense has been very one-dimensional as of lately. Sometimes they have their run game going and then the coverage completely breaks down or vice versa. And when they're having trouble getting one of those units kind of working in tandem, having kind of the loose coverage they've had these last couple weeks, I don't think has really aided the pass rush, but they played a lot less cover one, which has been giving them a lot of trouble in these last few weeks. And I feel like they finally just looked at the personnel in front of them. Okay, what are these players best at doing and how do we utilize them in order to do so? And the answer was Alontae Taylor is kind of a lockdown press corner. And I think that was a little unexpected for everyone. Just his physicality and his ability to really shut down Devontae Adams, which did not go unnoticed after he basically shut down DeAndre Hopkins in his first NFL start the week before that. But in doing so, that kind of allowed, Paulson Adebo to play a lot more off coverage and get a little bit more of a cushion because he's been beat a lot on the line of scrimmage lately. I don't know if it was his ankle or anything like that, but played a lot more cover 2 and cover 4. You saw Matthew in better positions to make plays. It just felt like this was kind of what the plan was supposed to be, what we all kind of thought we were working towards looking at in training camp, and then really hadn't seen that product on the field. But the fact that Alontae Taylor can slot in as a Marshawn Lattimore type, I think, is really the biggest part to that success.
Maddy, Alontae Taylor, my assumption was like bigger corner, maybe plays the nickel. I didn't know that I expected Alontae Taylor with Lattimore and Adebo to play on the outside like he has. Was this always the idea that this is his best position, that he's physically better as an outside cover corner?
So I actually had written a piece on Alontae Taylor over the offseason. I talked with his longtime trainer that had worked with him since middle school, and it seemed pretty obvious when you looked at his traits, when you look at his film, and the fact that he used to play wide receiver growing up and quarterback. So he knows what they're going to do off the line of scrimmage. He knows all of those little tricks that they might do, but also his experience at quarterback, unlike Adebo, who's also a wide receiver, you can tell that he can just peripherally scan the field and make those reads really quickly. Dennis Allen pointed to his intelligence several times this offseason, and I think that's really what you're seeing. But I watched some of his hits, and I had actually looked at him wondering if they were going to kind of look at him as a safety type replacement for Malcolm Jenkins in the box because he seemed so physical in his run defense and his tackling and wrap-up technique. I think it was just one of those picks where the need didn't seem obvious, even though the Saints don't usually draft for need. But I think the Saints have said all along they plan on putting him at outside corner, and don't know if they expected it to happen this quickly, given the injuries. But I think that is kind of what he was drafted for. I don't know if it was to compete with Adebo or what the plan was there, but he certainly made, a conundrum for when Marshawn Lattimore comes back healthy. Who starts opposite Marshawn?
Maddy, somebody calling you? Do you hear those beeps?
You know what? That's simply my face pressing a bunch of buttons, and I really apologize for that.
Are you kidding?
I wish I had a better answer, and I should have lied.
That is the best thing ever. All right, Maddy Hudak, who has very aggressive cheeks, apparently, is joining us now. But Maddy, all the times you come on the show, it's the first time that's ever happened. Could you hear the beeps?
I did, and I just assumed it was something going on your end. I'm like, remember the Latavius Murray thing?
Yes.
Where you guys just kind of threw that out there? I'm like, yes, thank you. I just figured roll on through it. Alas, it was my fault. I mean,
an amazing, top-tier pro job to just plow right through that. especially not knowing you were the one creating the beeps. Okay. All right. From the secondary to the front, this is a question everybody wants to know. What got into Peyton Turner, and can we expect to see that again?
I mean, it's kind of a good question because he's been a healthy scratch in several games this season. And when you're looking at a former first-round pick just a year ago who didn't really play that much last season, that was a little concerning. But you finally saw pass rush moves happen up there. There have been so many plays this season where it looks like there's an open lane to the quarterback, and the edge rusher is just kind of standing there a little bit. But you saw him use a swim move and just really working hard to get off of his blockers and actually getting into the backfield, chasing down the quarterback. It just seemed like he had kind of horse blinders on and finally saw the lanes that he was supposed to get to. And I wish I had a more intelligent explanation as to why, because it felt like he had his kind of year 1 to year 3 jump in one game after not really having a year 1 in the first place. But again, I think it has to kind of get credited back to that coverage and the fact that the pass rush was able to finally get something going. And I think it's one of those things that once you see it, once you're able to kind of get through those lanes, a lot easier to get through them again moving forward. So it just felt like that game as it went on and as they saw that they could really shut this down, as we've seen them do before, you could see it in every single player. You know, it wasn't always that Peyton Turner was opposite Cameron Jordan that was drawing coverage. It was him and Tano Passignon on a few plays, but they all just played their one-on-one assignments and were just worried about the man in front of them. It just felt like Peyton Turner had a vision we hadn't seen.
So were Turner. So if Turner was opposite Jordan, were Turner and Davenport essentially rotating?
I believe so, yeah. But then again, Tano Passignon's also part of that rotation now.
Okay. She's on Twitter at Maddy Hudak _94. Give her a follow. I wanted to flip it over and ask about the offensive line as well. You've actually talked a little bit about like Cesar Ruiz playing better and grading out pretty well. I mean, it's hard to ignore the success the running game has had the past couple of weeks. That's obviously got to be Kamara running hard, but he's also had room to run. Are you noticing anything in particular on the offensive line, why their level of play has improved here these past couple of weeks?
Well, you said it. They just seem to be playing better, and you point out people like Cesar Ruiz. He finally seems to get it, for lack of a better phrase. You know, it seemed, again, like he was very much a deer in headlights a lot of the time. He'd show flashes and then look completely lost on a similar look in that same drive. But it seems like he's figured out finally how to do zone blocking, how to block man, and you could see those holes really opening up for inside zone plays with Kamara. And Kamara has this kind of rep that he's not this in-between the tackles type runner, and that's just not true. The blocking just wasn't there earlier on in the season, but they've really got it together, and it was the most balanced run attack that they've had all season. They actually ran 32 run plays, 32 pass plays. They've been really predictable on running on second down after throwing a pass. I know there's been a lot of criticism about play calling, and I just think it's kind of a combination of all of those things, playing Hill and Kamara off of each other, keeping them on the field on third down, doing power plays with Hill, where we had kind of done that film study a few weeks ago against Seattle and what had worked in the run game, and a lot of it was Taysom Hill power runs. Then we saw them run away from that entirely for the next few weeks after that. And Hill had 4 power runs in this game, and they played Hill and Kamara off one another. So on first down, Hill ran a power, and then Kamara ran it right after him. But they went back to outside zone and primarily leaned on it. And that game and the Seattle game are the ones where they've used outside zone runs the most. And when they played against Arizona, they only ran 2 outside zone plays and ran 6 inside zone plays. And that clearly just did not really work out. But it just felt like, I hate to say that Sean Payton coming into the facility for a week has a lot to do with it. But for me, it was really hard to ignore. He showed up in the facility, and suddenly the Saints are using Taysom Hill and Alvin Kamara how they kind of should be all along. I'm mostly joking about that, but if you just go back and look at the amount of run plays and the way that they stuck with it through series, and it wasn't super predictable. They passed on every single play in the first opening drive and really leaned on the run towards the end of the game, which was the exact opposite of Cincinnati, where they decided that, Andy Dalton throwing Keith Kirkwood on third down was a better idea than putting Hill and Kamara out there. So it really was all around Saints brand football.
Do you think that was Sean? I know Sean Payton was there. Was he there all week, or did he just pop in for a day? Do you know?
I don't know. And in my head, I imagine him popping in one day, giving a very impassioned speech, and then kind of leaving them to it. But I mean, not to take away again from Pete Carmichael and Dennis Allen. I think Dennis Allen called a really strong game, and I'm sure this game meant a lot to him, considering that was the team that he was a head coach for in the first place. But they stopped the run and they leaned on the run, and that, as much as this is a passing league, that's really what wins you those football games. And if the Saints stick to this, I think they finally found a recipe.
It would be, I mean, how do you stack? Now that the chore, Maddy, is they got to stack wins, right? I mean, you have to stack good performances so you don't have this yo-yo effect of a season like we saw during all those 7 and 9 years. But boy, yesterday was so encouraging because it showed they are capable, right? That they have the people and the pieces to do it and to deliver this kind of performance if they can keep it going.
Exactly. I say that all the time in college. A lot of the time I think it's mental more than anything else. And I don't think that there's a reason that shouldn't also apply to the NFL in that aspect. And that's really what you saw happen in this game. But we'll certainly have a test for that pass rush against the Ravens next week. So that'll really be a good way to see if this is kind of flash in the pan or finally a turnaround by this team that has kind of been desperately needed.
She's Maddy Hudak. Follow her on Twitter at Maddy Hudak _94. She joins us on Mondays here to do a little film review. We appreciate it. Well, next Monday it'll be Monday Night Football, but we'll catch up somewhere down the line and appreciate it as always. Thanks, Maddy.
Thanks. I'll be sure to hold the phone away from my face next time.
Let's do that. All right, Matt. She is Maddy Hudak. This is After Further Review, brought to you by the Williamson Eye Center. 924-2020, 924-2020, or WilliamsonEYE.com. That was just an aggressive amount of beeps, wasn't it? Like, were you wondering about the beeps?
Yes, no, absolutely. I didn't know.
Were you looking at the board like, is there something happening?
No, because I knew it was her phone. Like, I knew where it was coming from.
Did you think someone was calling her?
See, that's what I didn't know.
Yeah.
I didn't know if it was just her, face doing it, or but I knew where it was coming from. I didn't really know how to stop it either.
Such an aggressive amount of beeps. Like, what's going on?
How many numbers do you think she just had on her phone? Like, she took it away and looked at it. It was probably a whole damn phone number. At least 7.
Way more than,
at least
7.
Okay, maybe 2. Maybe 2 whole phone numbers.
Oh my God. All right, Muse, in the break, go back and count the beeps.
I have to find one more college football takeaway. I got things to do.
Okay, all right. It's no, what you have to do is just to count the beeps. That's way more interesting. Like, isn't that way more interesting? Would you rather know some obscure college football takeaway from Muse, or would you rather know how many? That's all right. That's your final college football takeaway. Was how many beeps were on Maddy's phone?
Everything to do. Okay.
Huh?
I was gonna say that had everything to do with college football, but then I was just like, okay. That's why I said.
Welcome to AFR.
See, Matt, that's why I stopped and just said, okay. Because, exactly.
All right. Go get your LASIK consultation at the Williamson Eye Center. 924-2020, 924-2020, or WilliamsonEYE.com. Do it before the end of the year, y'all. The Williamson Eye Center, 924-2020. I'm thrilled. LASIK changed my life, man. And I don't say that lightly. But being able to wake up in the morning and just see, if you shove contacts into your eyes every day, take it from someone who did that for 30 years, literally 30 years. There's a better way. 924-2020 or WilliamsonEYE.com. All right. Oh, so we will get to college football takeaways. And also, Muse will tell us how many beeps. Let's do like the guessing game, like the beans. Guess how many beans are in the jar.
Like estimating. Yeah, okay.
All right. How many beeps do you think there were? And if you're just joining us, we just talked to Maddy Hudak, and her phone was beeping the whole time. And at one point during the interview, I stopped like, Maddy, like, is someone calling you? She's like, no, I think that's just my cheek hitting the phone. And it was just, I had to, because it was an aggressive number of beeps. All right, how many do you think?
I'm going to say 15.
15, Paul?
I'll go 21.
22. Closest to the number wins. I was going to say more like 32. I was going to go higher than that. But I'll go 22 to be one higher than Paul. $1. $1. So Price is Right technique is what that is. Learn from your elders. Little Bob. What's Bob? Bob Barker. Bob Barker, that's him.
Now you're going to get it, Bobby. Come Come on. That was right there.
That's so good.
How'd you not do it?
You're going to get it, Bobby.
Now you're going to get it, Bobby.
All right. Let's go to break.
AFR.
All right, AFR is brought to you by River City's 1 Hour Air, where they're always on time or you don't pay a dime. You know, today's Halloween. Halloween is a holiday, and it's nighttime on a holiday. But if you have an issue with your AC or your heater, call River City's 1 Hour Air. They'll come out. Nights, holidays, weekends, doesn't matter. They work 24/7, 365. They're always on call, and they're always on time, or you don't pay a dime. So if you have an issue with your home central heater, your AC, whatever season it is, for whatever you may need, you can always trust River City's 1 Hour Air to be on time. 752-0001. 752-0001 or 1hourbr.com. Pre-season heater safety checks. Mention the Moscona special and knock $30 off. River City's 1 Hour Air. 752-0001.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Want more customers? Running Boards Marketing can help you get their attention. Imagine your brand's message on a giant LED billboard truck that can't be skipped and is nearly impossible to ignore. Running Boards Marketing is the leader in effective and affordable advertising on digital mobile billboards, which are 2 times more effective than traditional billboards. With a 97% recall rate, you'll leave a lasting impression with your customers. Visit us online at runningboardsmarketing.com so we can drive your message to where the people are.
Oh, hey, what's up? It's Big V and Bubba, 100.7 The Tiger Morning Show. We'd love for you to join us every weekday, 4 a.m. till 9 a.m.
Yeah, everything you want in a show. Country music. We got laughs. We got celebrity in-studio guests. We just need you.
Join us every weekday morning, 4 a.m. to 9 a.m., right where it all started.
That's right. Louisiana's country station, 100.7 The Tiger.
ServiceMaster Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact ServiceMaster Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. ServiceMaster Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
This is a house call. This is a follow-up appointment. This is a diabetes checkup. This isn't just more convenient care, it's more advanced care. This is innovating healthcare at Louisiana's #1 hospital, Ochsner.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding. Call 288-8138 or visit reliefwindows.com. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria.
When our dear friend Matthew Musa went to journalism school to achieve that manship degree, I doubt very seriously he dreamed of the day he'd be counting phone beeps on a recorded interview. Wait, are you done?
But that just happened.
Are you done?
I'm done.
So it can't be nearly as many as I thought.
It's not. Well, I was actually the closest,
Okay.
but I was over as well. I was at. I said 15. It was 13.
Okay, 13 beeps on Maddie's phone. It felt
So almost 2 full phone numbers.
It felt like so many more.
It did.
Oh man! Now had I left it alone and then continued for the duration of the interview, we might have tripled that number.
It was funny because listening back to it, it sounded like she was like cursing and it was just edited. That's what it sounded like.
Like those are the beeps.
Yeah, like those are like the bleeps over the curse words.
Oh man! All right. There were probably some college football fans saying curse words this weekend. Here are our college football takeaways.
Another week in the books. What did we learn about the landscape of college football?
All right, Muse.
All right, look, it's not really new. We know this, but the college football playoff rankings, they come out Tuesday, and Tennessee deserves to be the number 1 team in the country. There's your takeaway for you. They've got the wins, including the best win of anybody so far when they beat Alabama. It was a classic look-ahead spot, and they romped Kentucky. Tennessee should be the number 1 team in the country.
Yeah, I was surprised. There it is. Only we could eliminate some of that lag there.
Yeah, we'll get it there.
All right, Paulie.
Miami is still searching for their identity. They didn't score any touchdowns this weekend. They're still looking for that turnover chain that we talked about last week. Yeah, it just doesn't look good.
Okay. How about an historic loss for Oklahoma State?
How about it?
Dude, this is unbelievable. Like
the mic just
it's doing it the whole show. Something's not connected here. I don't know what it is. I have everything tightened as much as it could, but this has to be completely vertical because if I do this, watch.
Ah, look at that.
Anyway.
Flip mic.
Kansas State beat Oklahoma State 48-0. That is the worst shutout loss by a top 10 team since 1966. How about that? And oh, by the way, Tulane beat Kansas State. It's incredible. Anyway, took it back to God, but they got it done. Good.
They did. They did get it done. Drake May deserves to be a Heisman finalist, the quarterback from North Carolina. Sam Howell was pretty darn good for UNC. You have to step in and replace him as a freshman. Drake May's done very well at that. 29 touchdowns, just 3 interceptions, 71% completion. As a freshman, mind you, just tossed 5 against Pittsburgh this week. Really solid player.
Marvin Harrison Jr., the next Ohio State wide receiver star. He had 10 catches against Penn State, 185 yards. He leads Ohio State in receptions with 48, and he leads the win in touchdowns with 10. And he's second on the team with 783 yards receiving. He could be on the Biletnikoff Award watch. Well, he is on the watch list.
Yes.
He should be a finalist for the Biletnikoff.
Do we feel like we knew he was already a star? Looking him up last year. Okay, no, look, last year he only had...
I feel like it was Smith and Jigba that everybody was looking at this year.
But Harrison did he have a good bowl game? I'm looking him up 11.
That was Smith and Jigba too.
No, I know he did, but I think they both did. Well, I mean,
that's fair.
Everybody did in that bowl game, but 11 for 139 last year. Okay. I feel like we need more. Maybe just biased because of the name.
Yeah, probably.
Name. Okay. Bad football. Paulie mentioned Miami. Miami and Virginia went to 4 overtimes and ended in a 14-12 game. Nobody scored a touchdown in regulation. It was 6-6. And then UConn, 13-3. They beat Boston College. Boston College had 5 turnovers. The teams combined to go 6 of 28 on third down. By the way, shout out to UConn. Their first Power 5 win since, you want to take a guess, year?
2018.
Nope.
2012.
16. 2016.
Ooh.
2012. Paul, 10 years without a Power 5 win.
Hey, man, they stink.
What was it? Didn't Prairie View go 10 years without a win?
I don't
think Prairie View A&M went like 10 years without winning a game. They lost like 100 straight games. Yeah. Anyway, all right. Go ahead.
There were 13 beeps. No, I'm kidding. I actually do have a third.
That should be it.
I actually do have a third one. Second half collapses. You had a few of them. So, I mean, look, Texas A&M, they were up at 14-10 at the break. Rough third quarter from them. Kind of got it behind the 8 ball. Wasn't enough to come back. Wake Forest, though, takes the cake with theirs. They're leading Louisville at half by 1. How about 6 turnovers in the second half, all from Sam Hartman, lead to a 35-point swing in that ball game?
Prairie View A&M had an 80-game losing streak.
Jesus.
From October 28, 1989, when they defeated Mississippi Valley 21-12. Their streak started the following weekend in 1918, lost to Langston, and they finally snapped that streak with a 14-12 win over Langston, September of 1998.
Dang.
80-game losing streak.
That's
Bro,
tough.
that's rough to keep showing up to the yard every day.
Down
every year,
tremendous at
every
that
decade.
point, yeah.
Anyway. Oh, we are really late. Paulie.
North Carolina, CFP sleeper. Musso told you about the quarterback, Drake May. North Carolina 7-1. They lead the ACC Coastal Division. And they could meet Clemson in the ACC Championship game with a playoff bid on the line.
There's no chance that a one-loss North Carolina is going to playoff. No shot. Literally not. Do you agree?
Yes, but if they beat an undefeated Clemson, I could see a path. But their schedule as a whole isn't good enough, I don't think.
Literally, no chance a one-loss North Carolina is going to the playoff.
Their only win would be Clemson. That's the. It's just not.
There will be a handful of one-loss teams.
Yeah.
2 SEC one-loss teams, a potential one-loss Michigan or Ohio State. Like, the ACC's only path is Clemson has to be on.
It'd be so good. It'd be so cool though, because I mean, the melt if Mac Brown makes the playoff before Texas. Oh my God! Come on, no. Now I want this to happen.
We're in it.
Now I want it to happen.
Let's go. All right. Finally, is Connor Wegman good?
He looked pretty good, dude.
So Texas A&M's freshman quarterback, hold on to something. They lost. They lost to Ole Miss by 3. He threw for 338, 4 touchdowns, no picks. The last time, you ready for this? Last time a Jimbo Fisher quarterback threw for 300 yards, 4 touchdowns in a game. You ready? Everett Golson against Texas State in 2015.
I forgot Everett Golson.
How you like me now? Texas State. Everett Golson, 2015. 7 years. All right. There's your college football takeaways. We're brought to you by DraftKings. Otter Locks is coming up next. So, load up. I'm telling you, man. Otter, he'll have something for you tonight, I promise. I was on all the picks yesterday for Magnolia Bluffs Football Sunday. Not just NFL, though, y'all. NBA fans, DraftKings, an official sports betting partner of the NBA. Right now, everyone can get boosted winnings with DraftKings stepped-up same-game parlays. I mean, biggest payouts ever. Why bet anywhere else? Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Use the promo code Baton Rouge. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Use the promo code Baton Rouge. Right now, everyone can earn up to 100% boost with DraftKings stepped-up same-game parlays. If it's NFL tonight, World Series, NBA schedule, Calucci's back on Thursdays. Nailed his hockey bet last week. I'm telling you, download that DraftKings Sportsbook app. Start winning some money. DraftKings. 21 and older, physically present in Louisiana. Select parishes only. Bonus issued as free bets. 1 boost per eligible game. Opt-in required. Parlay and wagering restrictions apply. Eligibility and terms at DraftKings.com/football terms. Licensee partner Golden Nugget Lake Charles. Gambling problem. Call 1-877-7-0-STOP.
AFR. It's a raving fan shout-out. Presented by Darren James & Associates, brokered by eXp Realty.
Tell you every single day about my friend Darren James over there at agent225.com. If you are buying or selling a home, do not try to do it yourself. Call Darren James and get your home sold. Call the realtor that sells more homes than anyone. Call the realtor that's got hundreds of 5-star reviews there at Rate My Agent. This one says, personable, listens. We are repeat clients. Darren's team is seasoned. They've been with Darren for a long time. He has assisted in selling other family members' homes as well. It's so easy. You could have that experience as well, just like I did. 335-7666. 335-7666 or agent225.com. Buying or selling, call the realtor that sells more than anyone. Call Darren James and get your home sold. 335-7666.
Think real estate, think Darren James.
As a community bank, B1 Bank invests in relationships with the people and businesses we proudly represent. Our B1 bankers are here to help simplify the complicated, understand your needs, and make managing your finances easier. At B1 Bank, we offer an array of solutions to help simplify your transaction needs. B1 Bank, one highly personal banking experience. Visit us online at b1bank.com for more information.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
It's no secret, the best oysters in Baton Rouge are at Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar. Enjoy mouth-watering South Louisiana flavor and oysters from all over the country. And don't forget our nightly drink specials. Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar, located in downtown Baton Rouge.
Eli's always been into grilling. It took us a while to see it, but the signs were there.
What are you doing, Eli?
I knew grilling was my thing. I have been talking about it throughout my career.
Happy with the results?
I am. Got the new grill from barbecueguys.com. It performed great.
My advice, as I always told my boys,
do more of what you're born to do.
Barbecue Guys, for those who were born to grill.
You want cheese on your burger, Pops?
I'll take a little cheese.
I'm Jay Ducote. I grew up learning how to cook at LSU tailgate parties and right in my own backyard. And I created JD's Louisiana products to bring that Louisiana flavor to you at home for your backyard cookout. JD's Louisiana barbecue sauce, Louisiana molasses mustard, spicy and sweet barbecue rub, and more are available at your local supermarkets or by logging on to jducote.com/shop. Put in promo code CST for 25% off at checkout.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding. Call 288-8138 or visit reliefwindows.com. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria.
Down the stretch, we come final segment here on a Monday edition of AFR, presented by Relief Windows. Of course, hope everyone has a safe time trick-or-treating tonight. One thing left to do. Let's find out what we're betting on tonight. Time for Otter Locks. Otter. Nope, that ain't the one. Nope.
At Lofton,
there it is.
Otter Locks, presented by Lofton Staffing Services. At Lofton, we put people to work. Call us today at 924-0200 or go to lofton.jobs.
Otter, how are you?
Good, man. How about you, Matt?
Really good. Really, really good. How was your weekend?
It was good. It was good. Good. A wash for all of us collectively on the show yesterday, 6-6. I went 3-2, but I was glad to hit that last little middle last night on closing out a teaser with Buffalo, and then miraculously, I will admit that was a fortunate cover up for Green Bay. But, man, listen, I had West Virginia Saturday, okay, on the 4th and 1.
So did I. Oh,
and then I went to sleep. I went to sleep with a money line play on San Diego State plus 280, up 28-10. All right, 28-17 going into the fourth quarter. And 5 minutes to go, Fresno State throws a pick in the end zone. 28-17. That's it. All right. Kind of doze over and, they run in their timeouts, out of timeouts. They score with a minute and a half to go. Cut it to 28-25. Out of timeouts. Of course, they get the onside kick. Next play they score. and I'll go to sleep on that one. So that's one. Happy birthday.
All right. It's not your birthday, is it?
It's still my birthday all the way through Halloween. You know that. So
all right, we got just a little over a minute, so we got to get some picks. We got a lot tonight, Otter. We got Monday Night Football. We got World Series.
A lot of rain in Philadelphia. Not sure if they're going to get it in.
Okay.
But I do like the Astros tonight. I'm going to split my play. Astros minus 25, and also Astros plus 25 or 30 on the run line. So minus 1.5.
1 minute remaining.
Okay.
Also, listen, Burrow and them have covered a couple of games. They're rolling. This is a little bit of a desperate spot for Cleveland. No Jamar Chase. That calms the offense down some as well. I like the way Cincinnati's playing, but 3.5 on the road. I think it's going to fall right on 3 tonight. Just my thoughts.
Okay.
So I do like Cleveland plus the 3.5.
Somebody on Magnolia Bluffs Football Sunday, I can't remember who.
Andy Isco.
Okay, Andy gave out Cleveland plus the. So I do have a Cleveland play on Cleveland plus the 3. So we'll still see
3.5.
So I got it at 3 yesterday.
It's 3.5 today. Okay.
Okay. Well, maybe I should have got it. Maybe I should have waited. But all right, Otter, Rouge Creole.
Rouge Creole, myself, Annie. We're over here at Rouge Creole, and hopefully we'll get a little World Series in. But it's a lot of bad weather up in Philly.
All right, Otter, have a great show. We appreciate
it.
Thank you. All right, man. Muse, Paulie, thanks so much. Happy Halloween, y'all. Have a great night. We'll see you tomorrow at 3.
AFR.
As we get on down the road, remind you about GMFS Mortgage. GMFSmortgage.com. Changing lives since 1999. Home buy, refi, construction loans. You know where to find them. GMFS Mortgage and GMFSmortgage.com. Rates have ticked up, certainly in the last 6 months. I think everybody knows that. So it's not the best time necessarily to refi. Money was so cheap within the last year plus. But it's still a great time to buy. And that's what maybe a lot of people, it's lost, is that we're still expecting interest rates to go even higher than they are currently. So if you're on the fence waiting for rates to drop, well, they're going to go up before they go back down again. So it might actually be a better time to buy now before they go up. And then when rates drop, refi. Have that conversation with a local loan officer from GMFS Mortgage. Industry experts, they close more loans than anyone, y'all. They're number 1 in Louisiana, number 11 in the country in USDA loans. GMFSmortgage.com. Changing lives since 1999. GMFS Mortgage.
There it is, the extra mile. On the border of expected and extraordinary. For those willing to go further. Like vans customized for work or play. With safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Want more customers? Running Boards Marketing can help you get their attention. Imagine your brand's message on a giant LED billboard truck that can't be skipped and is nearly impossible to ignore. Running Boards Marketing is the leader in effective